All right, well, you do that clicker to this camera here in front of you,
Give it a nice little...
and this will be the start.
Beautiful.
My next guest on the podcast, a long time coming, a youngster in the group here this time. Daniel Dunn, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We've got a good crowd, good turnout here. Everyone's pretty excited to hear from you. All right. Straight away, straight into it.
Straight into
Oh,
it.
glasses on again. If you could be an animal,
I knew this was coming.
Daniel Dunn, BMX kid from back in the day, what animal would you be?
I'm going to go with a honey badger.
Ooh.
Just purely because there's not much that stops them. They'll just keep going. So we'll go with the honey badger.
Honey badger.
Yeah.
Okay, haven't had that yet.
Nice
Digging
fierce little animal. They're little, but yeah, don't underestimate them.
Big heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's start from the beginning. Take yourself back to your little kid. Start from the beginning. You're starting primary school. What's your family life like? Tell us a little bit about how you were growing up.
I was always the youngest, obviously quite full on. Me and my brother's about 18 months between us, so pretty similar to my boys now, which I see a lot of my brother and myself as kids in them. But yeah, I was always the little run amok trying to keep up with my brother, and yeah, that was pretty well how it went for years and years and years, just playing catch up. So...
Where was your schooling? What was primary school like?
Just normal kid. Yeah, obviously ball of energy being a little boy in school, running around. But yeah, I was always into BMX. So me and a mate in primary school, I reckon it was around the year 3 or 4 mark that I started sort of getting into skating, bike riding, all that, like most kids do. It's pretty normal. Yeah, and then I met a friend at school in year 5, I reckon we started kind of lining up. I don't know if you remember Tom Blanche.
Yeah.
So me and him went to primary school together, and pretty
What
well.
school was that?
Largs Bay Primary School. So all the way down near Port Adelaide, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, little school, still there. Yeah, we pretty well just ran amok through school, doing our BMX thing. Yeah, all through pretty well the last half of high school, primary school into high school. We went to separate high schools from there, but. Yeah, that primary school era was us riding bikes to school, going through the magazines, and this is real early days of, like I think the only websites I knew of were Haro Bikes, and that was the whole Dave Mirror, Ryan Nyquist era. There wasn't much on the internet. It was dial-up internet back then. So, yeah, the availability for us to look at stuff and see what was around was very, very limited. So, yeah, we pretty well every day would get into school early, go into the library websites, and we just looked at pictures on the bike sites, and yeah, that was pretty well what stemmed the love for it.
So you found that really early?
Early.
Yeah.
As my old man actually the other day was watching my graduation video from year 7 and said that, yeah, out of all the kids in there, everybody's, wants to be a firefighter and all the normal responses. And yeah, mine wanted to be a professional BMX rider.
Yeah.
And he actually didn't remember that I had said that. And yeah, he goes, it's funny because I think out of everyone's drastic ideas that they wanted, you were probably the only one that actually became that.
A bit of a realist. Yeah.
So yeah, it was something I wanted to do from that age. Yeah, I knew that I wanted to ride a bike and yeah, wanted to be good at it.
Was your brother into it as well?
Yeah, so we both rode BMX. As you do as kids, it's very normal having a BMX bike riding around. Yeah, got into BMX through just transport and seeing mates and all that, and really all it took was someone to sort of show us that, hey, you can do stuff on these things. You can do tricks. It had been happening for a very long time, obviously, but we were just none the wiser to it because the internet wasn't there, and we pretty well just did our thing. So, yeah, it took a little while before eventually we started seeing that, hey, there's other people around us that ride these things, and yeah, it took a bit of time, but it wasn't until sort of high school that it really started to take off. But yeah, all through primary school was heavy BMX. So
skids and wheelies.
Pretty much.
And what about the academic side of school? What was in it for you with that?
Look, I was obviously pretty heavy into wanting to ride and things like that. So the school side of things wasn't really interested in, if I'm honest. Yeah, I mean, I listen, sort of. Still now, I guess I could probably say the same.
Did you do school sport? Did you engage in school sport?
Yeah, so I did football. As a kid, my parents' mum was into football. Every parent, I think, is into footy. So, yeah, I basically did the football stuff as normal kids do, but I soon realised that team sports weren't my thing. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It didn't seem like no matter how good you did, you were sort of never the standout if you weren't that person, if that makes sense. So like, yeah, the coach's son or the, local footy star, they were always really noted, and didn't matter how good you did, no one really noticed too much. And that's where I sort of just phased out of the whole team sport thing. I just didn't get anything personally from it. So started going to more self sort of satisfaction sports, I guess, where, ride a bike, do something, you get your satisfaction. It's 100% you.
Did you finish school?
No, I didn't actually.
What year?
Probably a little bit early to have left, but I was about halfway through year 9. They'd pretty well lost me. I was off riding my bike. I was sponsored at that rate. So I had bigger pictures in my mind, which in reality, now looking back at it, were probably not the best moves. But to me, I was just getting in trouble at school. I wasn't really listening. It wasn't where I wanted to be. And it got to a point where I was traveling, riding and doing that whole thing. So that's pretty well where it went. And it just by default went that way.
A lot of the guys across from me, they finished around year 11 and 12. Very few people got to the end of their schooling, but you've taken the trophy for...
Yes.
There we go. Bit of cheer for the earliest one so far. That's a record.
Now, I wasn't supposed to leave. I was meant to go to TAFE and sort of do the sort of slow route out of it. But they were pretty slow on their end with things. And I think I was trying to do a video editing course, which albeit for filming and stuff with the bikes, and they just didn't start it. And it got to a point where I thought, I'm just wasting time here, and just never went back. And
how did your folks go with that? They helped you with that decision, or they were supportive?
They, in reality, supported anything I did. I think they just supported me anyway. I wasn't really one of those kids that wanted to listen, even if they wanted to give me the advice. So I sort of took it and ran with my own decision. But I think they knew that I was going to do it anyway, and whatever I was going to do, I was going to work it out. So they just thought, look, we're not going to be able to tell him what to do. Let's just, at least if he's doing the right thing and riding his bike and putting it into an area that it's worth it, let's just give him an opportunity to try it then. And they just said, look.
So how old are you? Year 9? How old? Year 10-ish?
I would have been maybe 14, 15, around there.
Yeah,
like I said, I think 16 was the age you were supposed to be able to leave, and I was under that. So I had to just kind of pretend I was still at school, even though I wasn't attending. And like I said, the move wasn't smart now looking back at it, but just the way it all happened, it was, I was only getting in trouble just stuffing around at school and stuff anyway. So might as well just go down that route and start riding the bike. And it paid off.
That's my dog's
We have
out
domestics
there.
outside.
Sorry, they want to come in. I think I'll leave them out. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, well. But that...
And you do it, and so BMX was already where you were heading. That was the direction you were heading at that stage. I'm not leaving school just to bum out and do nothing.
Pretty much by that point, I was sponsored. I got sponsored quite early. So within a period of about maybe 12, 18 months, I'd met a bunch of people and sort of took off in a sense. Like I think it was always going to happen, but I just hadn't met the right people. And I was just riding my bike with my friends around the neighbourhood. And then, it wasn't until we really started to travel, and I'd have to try to work out the timeline for it. But I reckon there's one of the comps at Noarlunga that you had was pretty much the kick in the butt I needed to realise that, hey, I can do this, and there are comps and there are things that can kind of come of this. And that sort of stemmed into high school. And, like I said, I didn't make it too far into high school before it all went off to just all bikes.
What year, roughly, are we talking about? What year would that be?
2001, maybe 2002, around there somewhere. It's hard going back now that way and trying to work out exact years. But it was real early days. So,
and who were you sponsored by? How did that come about?
So essentially, all the comps that came out from Glenelg. There was a few that we did.
The Velofest.
Velofest, that's what it was. Basically, from those comps, I'd met a bunch of people. I guess a bit of a story into that, where me and my friend Tom from school, my old man would drive us down to all these comps because
Tom had skills as well. The two of you would have pushed yourself.
Yeah, we did. So it was pretty well us two sort of pushing each other until we sort of outsourced and saw other people. But going to those comps and meeting other people was sort of what opened the door for me. At the time, I was trying to learn flips. Now, I think the first Velofest that was closer to the water down there, and we were using that hill. I reckon I would have been 10 years old, and I won that comp. Then the very next year, they had the one a bit further down, closer to the Jetty Road there. Yep. And that was the one where there was a bunch of boys trying to learn flips. Now, that was Tim Rossiter, Damon Huntley, a few of those boys. Anyway, they all had a big crew together, and they'd all been doing lake jumping And to me, foam pits, lake jumps, that stuff wasn't. I had no idea. I was just riding up the jump and leaning back, and about halfway around realised that I don't know if I want this.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I was on that day.
You were learning
trying.
backflips to dirt. That was your
Trying.
playground.
Yeah, it was a bit of a. I wasn't committing fully, but it was there. I was wanting to. And these boys obviously had learnt them into water, and pretty well, said to us like, "Hey, you should come and try out the lake jump and see where it takes you." And that was just all conversation. They showed us videos on their camera and stuff on the day, and then we went home and thought nothing of it until that weekend came, and we thought, well, they're all heading up to this lake jump. Where is it? We knew nothing. We're opposite end of town. They're all southern boys. We're down the western suburbs. The internet's not a thing. Like, we knew nothing. So only person I knew their full name was Damon. So there's me and my brother. I think it was Friday night. They were going there the Saturday, and that's all we knew. So there's me and my brother with the yellow pages open, and we rang every Damon Huntley in that phone book until eventually his mum goes, "Yeah, I'll just go get him for you." And we've just looked at each other. It's on. We're going.
That is cool.
We knew it. And we weren't even old enough to be catching the train all the way out to Coromandel Valley where we were heading. And
Frank Smith Dam.
Yep, you know the one. I'd never even been on that line before. So yeah, we've basically just jumped on the train. Damon's told us, meet me here. I'll meet you at the train station, and we'll go there. And sure enough, we met up with him down there. And I reckon there was 2 weeks in it. And on the third week, I'd flips on lock. And I still remember being there doing flips into the water. I reckon took about 2 goes, had them done. That was it. And I was ready to go and do them on dirt. Everyone's going, nah, not yet. And then, like I said, I reckon it was the following week, I'd actually said I want to go do one on dirt. Damon's gone, nah, I'm not taking it to hospital today. Like, it's basically give it away. I'm 13 at the time, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm little. Yeah. And we pretty well, I convinced him that afternoon, just before the other boys got there. I'm like, we're going up there and I'm doing it. And I remember sitting up the top, brother's down the bottom. He goes to give me his helmet. He goes, "You want my helmet?" And I said, "Nah, if I come down and get it, I'm not going to do it." So I just rolled straight down the hill, just bang, first go, perfect.
Was that the jumps on the high side of the hill at Frank Smith?
Step up, that was up the top there. Yeah, it's still there now. Yeah. It's a bit small and ratty, but just sent it. And that day, I swear, I reckon I did about 1,000 flips, just one after the other, just boom, 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 and just locked them in. And from that day forward, it was I had them done. Anything I could jump, I could do a flip off it pretty much. So, yeah, that whole kind of process happened within, like I said, about a 18-month period. Went from knowing almost nobody to meeting a bunch of people.
And there was a 3-week window when you went from wanting to do it to
actually that person. And then, like I said, basically from there, meeting all those boys. So Tim Rossiter, who at the time was riding for Carnage, and then he was... they weren't all sponsored by Standish at Salisbury, but they all went in there and got looked after and all that stuff. Yep. And it wasn't after, I don't know, probably a couple of weeks of going in there with them boys. I think there was a comp maybe that come on, and Trevor from the shop saw me ride and instantly offered me a sponsorship. And I think it was probably partial to that I wasn't with those boys all hanging out. I was an outsider. There's a potential to just bring someone else in. So that's sort of where that stemmed from. And yeah, they pretty well picked me up and got me a deal with Diamondback. Early on, I think I was 13, 14-ish around there. Started riding for Diamondback, and that went on for, probably 2 or 3 years. I rode for Diamondback.
And how did that sponsorship, what was it to you? Like, do they make you sign a contract? Do they just give you a bite? Do they speak to your mum and dad? What happened there?
Early days, it was just a bit of discount, tyres, grips, tubes, all that stuff. But that pretty well... I don't know whether it was the first comp or so, just kind of stemmed from there. And I think he realised real quick that, I might jump on him now. And that's when that whole Diamondback thing came up. So I don't know whether he sort of outsourced it or what happened.
He just put in a good word to the rep.
Yep.
And said,
and the rep came through and, pretty well had a chat with him. And, it got to a point.
Do you remember who the rep was back then?
Oh, for Diamondback, I can't off the top of my head.
Do you remember some of the names?
No. So I know Paul Deans used to do a lot of this, like ProTech and a lot of those ones.
That stuff,
I got on ProTech through Paul. Trying to think now, I can't off the top of my head think who was doing Diamond back then.
No, that's all right.
No, but so long story short, that basically sort of stemmed on for a fair while. Got to a point where I was riding for the shop and for Diamondback. So Trevor would pretty much just look after me, anything else I needed, tyres, tubes, all that. Even going over to Melbourne a couple of times with him. We drove over for a few comps and jams and things like that. And So yeah, it was very helpful in that regard. And all the other boys obviously all jumped in, and it was a bit of a sort of crew of us going over, which was cool. So yeah, we did that for a good heap of years, and yeah, eventually that sort of scene fizzled out a little bit. Standish closed down, and that was sort of around the time like Australian BMX and things like that sort of started. So, but in those early days, it was completely different. Before CM started, it was pre-internet essentially. So the internet really had nothing to do with anything we were doing. Didn't benefit us in any way. It was, you might look up a few pictures.
Foreign. Yeah.
But yeah, everything was, you filmed your own videos, you did everything yourself. Like we were at the point where we were like VHS, watch your camera through the VHS, hit record, making little edits. Like I've still got them at home now with cassette tapes and stuff. So that was a whole different sort of kettle of fish back then. But yeah, once the internet came in, it really changed things a lot.
And who was the crew? Who were you tight with at that point?
At that point, it was, it was Daniel Putty, Damon Huntley, Tim Rossiter, and then obviously Kim, Mick, all those, Dwayne, all those boys were like northern boys anyway, so all those guys were northern, so they all sort of knew each other, and that was pretty well how, I guess, like, you hear with Kim and stuff talking about Danae and their house, their little share house they had, we pretty well sort of tail-ended onto the end of their story, if that makes sense. So we used to go hang out at the share house, and for us it was like, Kim, Mick are here, and Dwayne and all the boys, and as a kid, I used to look up, so even the zero gravity comps and stuff, I used to look up to all those boys when I was a kid. So kind of come full circle around, and now all of a sudden I'm here with them and hanging out with them and riding with them. And I don't think they realised that I was once upon a time that little kid sort of to them. But it all come around full circle, and next thing, I'm riding with them and friends with them and stuff. So that was quite sort of inspiring in itself.
And so once you'd left school and you were kind of riding, are you working? Like what else are you doing? You're just riding bikes?
Basically riding bikes. I was only young. Pretty well, like I said, I got sponsored to a point where I was shoes, helmets, my clothing. So Armadillo pretty well come on just after Diamondback did. So I had Armadillo, which was all my clothing, head to toe. Who else was it? I reckon for a bit there, Vision Streetwear, I was getting shoes from them. Most of that all came through Standish and all these connections and stuff. But at a point there, I was...
You don't need much else.
Didn't need anything, no. It was just feed myself and
Hey, still living at home?
Yeah, still living at home, mum and dad.
Wake up in the morning, get the bike and go.
Yeah, for the most part, staying at mates' houses and things for the most part. But still at home, so no overheads or anything. But I grew up not much money, as most people did, It was, so I wasn't turning to mum and dad for money. I'd be going out, winning a comp and living off that for the next couple of weeks. So in reality, that's probably where I should have probably been working, saving this money and saving to go overseas and all that stuff. But young and dumb, just too busy living my life and spending my money and
enjoying
having fun. 100%. But
And what about, like you said, you went interstate? What sort of, how was that experience like?
That was
as
great.
a youngster?
So first comp, I can't actually remember where. I reckon it was in Melbourne, Box Hill. I reckon at the skate park in Box Hill, they had a little like local style comp. Can't remember exactly why we went over there, but decided to for whatever reason. And at the time, Luke Fink riding for Armadillo as well. That's sort of how we become sort of entwined with each other, and he put in the good word for that. I knew him through Damon because his auntie used to actually live here in South Australia. So Fink was essentially a South Australian at one point in time. He was always over here, met him a bunch of times through that. And every time I'd go to Melbourne, he would sort of take me under his wing a little bit. So that's sort of how that Armadillo thing sort of stemmed on. And a lot of the comps that they would put on, they would invite me over for. So Trev took me over. I reckon I was 14, first time ever going on a plane. And it's basically
loaded. Rock star.
That's what it seemed like at the time too. At that age, even
I'm
my
riding
parents,
the bike and I'm getting on the plane. It's like, holy
my
cow.
parents hadn't even been interstate or on a plane themselves, and they were like, "God, you're ready to just throw us under the bus and go off." So, no, it was good though.
That's cool. That is so cool.
So that pretty well sort of opened that door for me to know that, okay, cool, I can travel. Now I've been interstate. I've seen what it's like. That crew that we were sort of hanging out with at the time, there was multiple jams. I think we went over for one of the ACT jams in Canberra, like early on. So we stopped through Melbourne, did a bit of a sort of lap around, and that was a good one, bit of an eye-opener. Once again, I was young, couldn't even drive a car at that point, so parents just let me go and give me a little bit of money to go off with, and just trust me, I suppose, that I'm doing the right thing.
And how did you go in those events when you lined up against interstate guys? How was that experience?
Not too bad. I never really won anything, but I never was low in the rankings, if that makes sense. But I was always entering comps that were probably a little bit above me. I was always the young kid, which probably was where I stood out, and it got me the name, was because I was always the young kid. So it was very noticeable who I was, and when I'm standing next to people that are twice my age, it definitely showed. So
they had would they have a junior category and then like an expert and a pro or something like that? Is that kind of
generally
how it
it'd be sort of amateur pro. Generally, yeah. Like I think it was that first comp that I went in at Noarlunga. Gosh, I'd have to remember the year it was now, but I was under.
Is that
8.
Jesse's one, Standish big one?
I reckon it was.
Those, yeah.
There was little jumps off the side for the small groups, and then the bigger ones off the other side for the big group. And I got there late and missed. I think my group was on when I got there. And like I said, I was real little. My parents didn't know we were there. We didn't tell them till we come home with prizes, and they were going, "Where'd you steal that from?" And we were like, "No, we won it." And they're thinking, "Hey, what do you mean you won it?" And we had to tell them, like, "Look, we caught the train up to Noarlunga." With old man's just gone, "What?" And yeah, we've both come home, and I won the category above. I think it was like under 10s, and I was supposed to be in under 9s, and then my brother would have been in maybe under 12s or something. And yeah, we've both come home with tapes and stickers and all sorts. And yeah, the old man didn't even realise that was where we were heading. Once he realised, he went, "Right, next time, tell me, I'm taking you." I want to know, like, that's going on. So that pretty much from there, I was always at a deficit being age, sort of, I was always competing against people older. But I never let it bother me.
No.
Yeah, I didn't see the age part. I'd have thought, I can do that. I'll go try it too. And generally it worked.
And I'm assuming you're probably not nervous. You're just having fun, aren't you? Or
At
did you
that
want
age,
to? Yeah.
No, I don't think I noticed it, to be fair. Because as I got
I'm just
older,
going to try and do a trick.
Yep.
Yeah.
As I got older, the nerves got more and more, and I'd think about it more. And even still now, I find that as you get older, your brain tells you, "Hey, you should probably think about this first." Whereas at that age, I was too busy. I was already off pedaling down the roll-in.
Just having fun.
You might even remember the one at not Noarlunga, the Marion, when they had the Olympic torch come past.
Yep.
That comp, I think I'd entered probably once again under 12s or 13s or something at that point. And I got a flat tyre and bent my bars for I crashed. And I remember bending them back. And then I had Dwayne and a few of the other boys pushing me in to try to jump the main set. They all, because my tyre was too flat, I couldn't pedal fast enough. So they all pushed me to give me a run up. I still probably made it halfway. I remember crashing. But yeah, I was always that kid that was like, I want to have a go at that. Yeah. Let's have a go. And just never thought about it. Just was already off and going. So probably what helped me, I guess, get a little bit better before I saw the fear side and see that, hey, you can hurt yourself here. I think for years, never broke a bone, never even hurt myself, and then it was just one day I decided to crash and broke an arm and a leg first time.
I was going to ask you about injuries.
Yeah, so nothing. I had nothing for years. It was just, rolled ankles, hurt wrists and things like that, just falling off as you do. No real dramas at all from injury-wise up until you'd probably remember the King of Dirt Wavell Showgrounds 2004, I think it was. So that would have been the first,
indoor one. That Holmes.
That was the first
Mike
one.
Daly and
Yep. So that was pretty much that tipping point for me where I'd been entering heaps of local comps, doing all that stuff, and doing well always local comps. I'd always win them. It got to a certain point where I was like, I don't even know if I want to enter these anymore because it's sort of just taking it away from my mates and stuff. And then other people would tell me, I'm not entering if you're entering, and I'd go, well, that's not really that fair. So I'd sort of just given up on them a bit, and that opportunity popped up for this King of Dirt one, and I thought, I'm going to go an amateur. I don't know if I'm ready for pro yet. We'll just go an amateur. But at the time, the tricks I was doing, I probably could have quite easily went in pro and done half all right, but I thought I would just stay an amateur. That's what you've been doing. And won the comp. Much to I was surprised. I didn't really think I was going to, but once I started riding and the way I was riding, I've still got footage of it now. If I look back at it, you can see the consistency and all the stuff that was there. Whereas everyone else could do the tricks, but I don't think at that age they'd really dialed everything in yet. Whereas back then, I was city skate every Friday night. I might only be doing these tricks out just out of a quarter fly out, but would have done them 100 times. So they're pretty well locked in. I think I learnt truck drivers over the last jump. I'd never even truck driver a jump. And there's me doing it mid-set sort of thing. So
was that the one where they started on the big high scaffold and they did a drop-off, had a ramp to the left and a drop-down gap?
Nah, that was, I think, a couple years later.
No, Got Dirt. That was Got Dirt.
That was Got Dirt, yeah. So this one was the one in the main arena. They had the racing and freestyle in the same one. And it basically just had a single roll in. It was 3 jumps, and then at the end, they split off. I think pretty well most people use the right-hand hip. But, yeah, it was a pretty simple setup. But, yeah, I won the comp, and then they had a best trick comp afterwards. And, yeah, I thought, I'm going to try double tail whips. And, yeah, me and Nicky Buckard at the time went to try them. He pulled me aside and was like, do you want to try them with me? And I went, yep, sweet. And this is the same thing how gun-ho I always was, that he's jumped in and didn't even try on the first one. And then I've tried on the first one and broke my arm and leg first try. And he didn't even have an attempt because that just, put him off.
After that,
I broke my ankle. I didn't even know that my ankle was broken. And I remember putting my hand as I sort of fell, and I felt my hand just disappear. The pressure of it just sort of went, and I knew it straight away. I'm like, yep, it's popped. And then I remember not looking at it, but pushing on it, thinking, I've dislocated my wrist, because it didn't hurt. And as soon as I looked at it, I'm like, whoa, yeah, that's my arm. I'm like, yeah, but she's bent. And then, I got out of surgery. They straightened my arm and everything, and woke up and I got a cast on my foot. I'm like, what happened there? And they're like, oh, you broke your ankle too. Because I told them it hurt, but I didn't even notice it. I was too worried about my arm.
So had you had tail whips down at that stage?
Yep.
You were fine with the tail whip, but you hadn't tried double tail whips?
I tried them just out of quarter pipes, but probably not enough
just a
to
safe
have, probably
like
not enough to actually commit as if I was ever going to have landed it at that point. But thought, bugger it, I'll give it a crack. And it turns out it was probably not the move. But I mean, I'd won the comp, so it was, if I was going to crash, I felt like it was probably the time to do it. But I was lucky from that. No real damage. It was, the break was nice and clean up my arm. It didn't do any. It was just 6-week wait, no plates, no nothing, and straight back into it. So a little bit of a hold up. But pretty much from that point forward was where it just took off, really. Like, I think once that injury kind of healed, I think everyone sort of knew that, like, I was coming up, I suppose. And from
you didn't think, I've hurt myself, I don't like this, so I'm going to stop?
Oh, no, it was just as soon as I can ride again. I think I bought a wrist brace and an ankle brace before I'd even had the cast off. I was ready. As soon as they come off, the brace was on and I was riding again. So, no point was that stopping me at all. At that age, I don't think I was really too fazed by it.
Were you demoralised, or were you down and out once you busted yourself? Like, what was it, summertime, and you go, everyone else is riding and I'm stuck in here? Or you're still hanging out with your mates? It's only an arm, you can
I think I still hung
around.
out. So I had a camera and stuff at the time, so I reckon I would have just probably filmed and walked around with the boys and hung out, and that 6 weeks would have probably flown by. I would have had a girlfriend at the time, I'm sure, so I probably just hung out a bit and had a bit of relaxer time, and went straight back to riding as soon as I could.
What was your favourite part about BMX? Was it dirt? Was it skate parks?
Always loved dirt. It's kind of catch-22 though. I was never really a digger or had the trail set up purely from where I was, not being in the hills. It was very flat and sandy, so you didn't really have jumps or anything down there. So I always rode skate parks, but then any opportunity that come up to have dirt jumps ridden, that was all I'd ride. If I'd went in comps, always dirt. I'd go in park, but it wasn't really what I wanted. But it was kind of weird because everyone asked the questions when I'd go into state was, what dirt jumps do you ride? Like, you always enter dirt and you're really good on dirt. What dirt do you ride? And I'm like, I don't. They're like, what do you mean? And it's so basically city park flyouts and the little sort of like spine hip that used to go into the bowl.
Yep.
I guess you kind of treat it like a box jump. It had an up and a down part. So that was pretty much my box jump. So learning things over that, when I would take it to dirt, it was actually easier. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of didn't realise that they assumed I had to ride dirt to be able to do that stuff on dirt. And it's like, well, no, I just tried out of a quarter pipe. And if I can manage to do that in that amount of time, flying through the air with twice the amount, it's easy. So it didn't really sort of come across to them as easy when they were trying to learn it over the big jumps. But I guess I just did it small and then just translated it to the big jumps, which was often what caught me out and injured me. It's because, you sort of overcommit and the jump might be a bit bigger. Doing flips over big jumps was never the thing for me. Scared me a bit, I think, just because I never had anything big to flip. So I didn't know how much to slow it down. So I was always scared to over-rotate. Okay. So I never really did big jump flips. It just wasn't my thing.
So I remember you for plenty other tricks. But
I'd prefer to double whip the same jump than I would to flip it. And everyone used to blow out and go, why would you double whip that jump? I'm like, because it's easier than doing a flip. And they're like, I don't know about that, but okay. So I guess it's each to their own. It's, if I've done 100 of them, then it's easy for me.
So but where were your dirt jumps? Where did you go on?
We didn't really have any. So basically City Dirt was pretty much the guaranteed you want to go ride some dirt. That was the place to go. But early days when I was a kid, like, you know, the original setup.
Was the setup, that's before we had
the main jumps were there, the old back ones.
That was about 2002-ish as well.
Yeah,
so maybe
really early. So I still remember when the main set first got built.
Yep.
But we used to ride the original set that we would have had comps and that on back in the days. We used to ride those very early days. There's probably only maybe a 6-12 month period there where we rode them, and then obviously the new ones got built and everything like that. But City Dirt was pretty much the go-to.
Yeah.
It sort of had its moments where sometimes it was rideable, sometimes it wasn't. There wasn't enough people really putting time in back then.
Yeah.
But then, basically the ones up at Coromandel, we had a little step up deep in the bushes in Blackwood. We just one day went walking through the bush and found a down and up part on the hill, and then let's build a jump here. And then we built some more trails nearby there. Just pretty much most of the stuff was all up this side of town, so I'd always have to travel to come and ride it. But from there, it was like Hackham, all the sort of established stuff that was already around. Even down Paraka and those ways, there was a few jumps down there that Dwayne and those boys had built. Like I said, it was almost been and gone for their stuff. They weren't even really using them anymore, but the jumps were still there. So every now and again, some people would kick them up and they'd be rideable and we'd get the word. And
I was going to say, how did you find like the community? Because at certain times, riders had their spots, but you're probably a generation below.
So I got lucky, I think, in that regard where, like I said, all the boys down north that were sort of my crew to start with were, I guess, the sort of offsiders for Dwayne, Kim, Mick, all those boys. So they generally sort of had the sort of ins on their jumps and could sort of generally go and ride. Not that we really rode any of them or anything, but there was ones out at Manapara and that they used to ride, and you'd just get dragged along to all different ones.
And you had skills, so they go, oh, you're not a kook, you're not going to trash the jump.
So they'd let you come and ride them, and it sort of, it would always get to that point where, you know, then southern boys, I was always sort of just floated between everyone. I don't think anyone really got on with the southern crew there, you know, with the bottom trails and all those boys. Tight, they were pretty tight. They sort of only had their own crew. So obviously never rode any of their jumps or anything, but all the other boys, I was always sort of just floated and just whatever jumps were around and wherever everyone was going, we'd go there and ride them. So, but it was always hot on you got to work on them afterwards. You can't be going to other people's jumps and just come and ride them and piss off. You've got to at least water them or have a bit of a sweep or a shovel.
Message for all the people listening. Today it's as important as it was back then.
It's just as important, because some poor bastard's been there breaking his back. So, you got to look at it like that. So, it was always, for me, it was, basically using other people's jumps. Because, anywhere I'd try to dig, that'd get flattened. So, didn't really have as many dirt jumps as I'd want.
Close to you.
Close to me, no.
You had to work hard to get to them.
No.
Yeah.
So, but then, like I said, every comp I'd go in was always dirt.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Who inspired you? Like, who did you look up to? Like, was it Australian guys? Was it overseas guys? Who did you...
Honestly, mostly Australian guys.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably more real to me. Like, obviously everybody looked up to the American guys and that, but to me, they just don't seem like real people, essentially, because they're overseas.
Let me get rid of that. Right. Goodbye.
So the obvious, Dwayne, Mick, Kim, those guys, for me early on, they were right in front of me. They were the ones that when there was a comp or things like that on, my old man was sort of into motorbikes and stuff, so we by default went Crusty Demons, all those things. So I was always watching the boys riding at the demos and doing the things. So I always knew that they were there. But like I said, it's not like you pick up Instagram and you see in their videos. You'd have to go and try to find them. And luckily, I guess through BMX, I just sort of found my way to them, and they were generally the guys I looked up to the most because I knew them, knew of them. You could hear things that they were doing, tricks and stuff like that. Most of the American guys, it was, the obvious, Dave Mirrors, all those people, but it just seems so far away and out of my sort of realm that I didn't really look at them too much. As a kid, I was always watching X Games, things like that, and looking up to it. But, Corey Bowen, Dave Dilward, like all those boys from sort of my era, I guess they were a little bit older than me, but they were the ones that I was watching going, that's what I want to do, that's what I want to be like, sort of thing. So I guess Corey Bowen, I don't know any BMXer that probably wouldn't idolise him in some way or another with the
Did
style.
You get to ride with him?
Of course, yeah. So, would have been Heavy Metal Heroes 11, I think it might have been. Which kind of tails onto the whole double tail whip story. A couple of years later, I got invited up to Queensland with Nicky Buckard. So when he came to Adelaide, he basically hung out with me for a fair bit and said, come up to Queensland, stay with me, and the Heavy Metal Heroes, whatever you want to do. So I was like, I'll take you up on that. And then, I think Heavy Metal Heroes came up, and I'd just gotten sponsored by Volume Bikes at the time. So Terry, I don't know if you know Terry Burke.
No.
So he owns BMX Mafia, BMX Militia, and that's Volume Standard, all those ones. So Fink put in the good word for me and basically, got me off Diamondback and onto Volume. And with that came Demolition Parts, so they were sort of a bit of a compound deal. And I was at the point where I was just over the Diamondback frames. They were too long. They weren't really suited for that style of riding. Bikes were starting to modernise and shorten and things like that. So, yeah, basically that sort of tied me into with him instead of saying, do you want to go up to this Heavy Metal Heroes comp? And I went, yeah, cool. So went up for that, done quite well. In the dirt comp, decided that I wanted to try a double tail whip, landed it, and pretty much from that point forward was where I'd learnt double whips. Now that sort of led me into once a year going up to stay with Nicky, go do Heavy Metal Heroes, or if there were any other comps in Queensland at the time, I'd go up and stay with him. And so that got us meeting Corey, Dave Dilward, Ryan Gootler, all those boys. There was the whole crew of them at the time that were all basically over in the States. And then every time a big comp would come up, all those boys come back. So it'd be Luke Parslow, all those guys that to me was, there was probably about 6 or 7 of them, Cam White as well. All those boys were my idols at the time because, they were the ones actually overseas doing what I was sort of trying to do essentially. And then every time they'd come home, I'd get to hang out and ride with them, and all awesome, down-to-earth guys. So like I said, I think it was maybe 2-3 years into these Heavy Metal Heroes comps. We'll go into one of the other skate parks, and Corey's basically jump in the car with me. We'll go there. Spent the drive there with him, had a bit of a chat. Yeah, he's asked a bit about me, and which I was a bit taken back by, but I think it was the approach to it. I'd always been told with those people, it's like you don't really want to go and sort of fangirl and sort of, be, hey, you going, mate? And I'd always just let it naturally.
Let your writing speak for itself.
Yeah, not even that, I guess. Just let them come and want to sort of have the conversation, because otherwise it's a forced conversation. They're not going to remember me. I'd rather it be a friendship and them actually sort of want to talk to me and stuff. Yeah. And I found it come sort of around full circle where I think that afternoon we were back at Corey's place with his parents and watching his videos from the States, and that was a bit surreal at the time. I was only still, 15, maybe 16, sitting there watching Corey Bowen's videos from Woodward, like his personal videos, in his kitchen. My parents offering me drinks. That was quite surreal in itself. So, I got to sort of know them all quite personally, I think. And same with Cam White. Used to go and stay at his place. I think I did it for about 3 years in a row. Basically, he would have his jam at his house.
Yeah.
So he'd go there the week before BMX games, spend a week prepping the jumps, practicing, just whatever, and just sort of hanging out.
And those were some serious big jumps.
Massive.
Serious jumps.
Oh, and coming from myself jumping like local little, knee
nothing
high.
like that.
Nothing even close. And then I'm just rocking up to a jump like that and going, are you going to hit him? I'm going, what do you mean? I've never jumped a jump that big in my life. Like I remember on the weekend that I first went there, they had a truck with a boom lift on it, picking up the barriers, placing them out. And it was parked between the jump. And we were jumping over it like it wasn't even there. We weren't even trying to jump it. It was just clearly, but easy.
Yeah.
So that side of it, even just coming towards it, your eyes are watering. So you're sort of trying to see the thing, but you're going that fast that your eyes are watering. It's a bit to take in. But even just doing that for 3-4 years in a row, hanging out with Cam, and learn a lot, and a lot of opportunities, I think, from that.
And then it went well, like you didn't get hurt on there? Like
never, no. Yeah? No, normally I'd wait till the comp or somewhere where I want to hurt myself.
Yeah.
No, so I was generally the one that most times would hurt myself. I think I went through a period of not hurting myself that then just every time I'd crash, I'd almost hurt myself, break a bone.
At that point, you're trying the next level. You're pushing yourself. Okay, this is the crowd. I'm going to try this trick. If the jump's big, I reckon I can do it.
So most of the time it wasn't too bad. It was front flips. I remember front flips got me. I could do them into foam. They were fine. They just, inside my head, there was something going, don't off a jump. As soon as I'd go to try it, my brain would go, nope. So it took me a fair bit to get my head around that. I reckon there was probably 2-3 years battling, wanting to try them and just not. And then there was one year we were in Gold Coast on the beach. They had the Red Bull Dirt Jam on the beach. Schoolies was happening at the same time. So as you could imagine that, with schoolies and at night with a big comp on the sand and the beach, it was pretty full on.
You're fired up.
So I thought, this is the year I'm going to do a front flip. I rode real well. I think I qualified 5th or something. And that was Gootler, Parslow, Bowen, Dilward, And I'm fifth, so
And
I
you're
was
in there.
like the next rider after him was me, and I think at the time I was 16, so was pretty chummed with that and done well all through the comp. I think it was my last run, and I thought I would send a front flip, and I've tucked in to do the front flip, and as soon as I got to about here, I just went maybe not and just ejected off. And there's a photo in, I think it's BMX Press, where the bike's like just leaving the lip, and I'm in the air like Superman, just without my bike. Just full swan dive.
Oh, that's no good.
So essentially, yeah, I've done this big front flip without my bike, essentially over the jump. And when I come around, so I sort of dove belly first, mid-air, realising this is not going to be well landing on my belly. So I've tucked and done a front flip to land on my feet. And as I've come around, I've realised, like, oh God, I'm still well in the air. Like, I'm going to hit the ground. So I've completely missed the jump, landed dead on the flat ground, just hit the ground that hard that my feet just couldn't even comprehend with landing on the ground that hard. And my hands just hit the ground as I compressed into the ground, and I felt my wrist just go bat and break. I was like, fuck, God damn it. I held it and just walked off, and then bloody nurse guys come over and he's, oh, you all right, you're all right. I'm like, nah, wrist is broken, mate. He looked at me like, are you sure? Oh, I'm positive, man, I know.
Yeah.
And he ended up feeling it out, puts the cast on, gives me the green stick, and of course, everyone's running around trying to steal the green stick off me.
Because you end up going a lot longer on a front flip than
You
most
do,
other tricks.
especially when you do the push to get the rotation, but you don't even do any of the rotation and eject. I've essentially pogoed myself just past the jump.
Gone
Oh,
like that.
yeah, it was not a good time. So, yeah, from that point, I think at a 12-month period, I never touched front flips again. I thought, I'm not doing them. I don't want a bar of it. And I can't even remember where. I think it might have been BMX Games the next year. I'd had them on lock. So I got back to Adelaide, recovered, wrist repaired. It wasn't bad or anything. And then something, little light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, I can do these. I know I can. I just need the right place to be able to try it. And of all places, the Ridge Park Bowls, out of where the quarter pipe kind of rolls off into that roller in the middle where the coping stops.
Yeah.
I thought, that's what I need. I need the bike to not want to pop up. I want to roll off a little bit so I can get the rotation
Let
happening.
the front wheel dip early.
And I think first go, I think I just rolled in, boom, bang, boom, front flip straight out onto the grass. Perfect.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, I thought you were going to learn them. So, yeah, from that day, once I'd done one and I'd felt it come round, then they were fine. I could do them all the time from there. And it was the next BMX Games, front flips, double whips. I think even that same BMX Games was when I learned triple whips as well. So that was one of the ones where I remember the year before, Cam White, I think, had just landed a triple whip for the first time, because I remember the weekend after that comp in Queensland where I broke my wrist, there was a comp in Canberra. They used to do the half pipe spine mini, Backbone used to put it on. And yeah, I was meant to ride in it, I had the flights, everything, and broke my wrist. So I just ended up going down anyway and hanging out. And yeah, they had a premiere there for, I don't remember what it was now. But yeah, Cam done his triple whip at the end of it at the Vegas Dew Tour, I think it was. Everyone went nuts because it was basically the first time anyone had done a triple whip. And then, yeah, I think from that point forward, I went, I'm learning them. I can do that. And I reckon, yeah, it was about 6 months later, I'd had them, did it at Hackham. So, what's his name? Mountain bike rider that used to do Hackham, they build the Hackham jumps.
Not Shane.
Alan?
Oh, Alan Hepburn?
Alan
No?
Hepburn,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, so-
that set in the big paddock
Yep.
there.
He just ran from his house. He used to have the foam pit in his house.
Yep.
So we were going riding there. We were waiting for a few boys to come, and we decided, let's go to his place. He goes, come back to mine. We've got the foam pit in the backyard. Come and do some jumps and just do some shit in there before we go back. Oh, beautiful. I was like, cool, we've got a few things I wouldn't mind trying anyway. So we went there and just off into the foam pit. I think I learnt bar spin to tail whips, 360 double tail whips, and then was like, I might try a triple whip. And I think I got it round first try. Everyone was like, what? How did you just do that? I thought, I don't know. I didn't think that was going to happen. Anyways, a bit later on, we went back to these jumps, and I thought, there's a few of the tricks that I want to try. Maybe triple whip being one of them, but we'll see. So jumping the little set, ended up, I think I did 3 double whip first go, just like it was in the foam pit. And I went, that actually wasn't too bad. Flip whips, I think I got those pretty well on lock that same day. Tail whip to bar spin, same thing. And then everyone's like, you're going to try a triple whip. And I'm like, probably should, I guess. Took me a couple of goes. I remember doing a few double whips and feeling it out and thinking, yeah, I reckon I can do this. And I reckon it was second go. I kicked one, pretty well caught it and landed over the bike and just sat on the seat and thought, that was it. that easy. Wow. Okay. I think it was second try. Landed it perfect, bang, straight to pedals. I don't even think I could tail whip that good, to be honest. I just caught it perfectly. And even still now, that clip's still on YouTube, and it's that old and grainy that you can tell how old it is. It's pretty damn old. And yeah, I took it back to Cam and showed him, and he's going, how did you triple whip a jump that small?
Because it's a small jump, and they're not big jumps.
No, and this is the thing that I didn't even comprehend, how these boys used to, the size of the jumps that they do these things on. I'd seen it, but I'd never had that as an option, so I'd always just go and try it over whatever I had. So then when it came to BMX games, and I said to Cam, I said, I'm going to triple whip the last one. And he goes, the last one? He goes, you should be doing it over the first one. And I'm like, nah, it's too big. He's like, what? So for me, I'm not used to riding jumps that big. So basically, yeah, I've triple whipped this last one. And I remember landing it. I think I slipped the pedals as I got to the bottom. My feet slipped off, but I kept my feet on the sort of seat and everything and rolled out. And yeah, I come back past Cam. I purposely went on the other side and have come past him and his parents all sitting there. And you like that one? He just shook his head. He's like, you're nuts, mate. I don't even know how you've done that. So yeah, that I guess in the scheme of things, where when it gets back to his jumps, I can't ride them properly because they're too big. And I said to him, I was like, I want to triple whip your last one. And he's like, sure about that? And then after riding, I think this was that following weekend at the Jam, I think I got about 3 jumps in, and I'm like, I'm not doing it.
No.
I'm not doing it. I reckon I probably would have caught the triple whip and still been going upwards. That's just the way I do things. It's so fast and so quick and get it over and done with. On a big jump like
Didn't
that,
relate.
I just needed to learn how to slow it down, and I didn't have the time riding jumps that big just to even know. Even jumping the 40-foot jump, I remember the first time hanging up front wheel, I didn't make it, and I've hung up front wheel, and you're going that fast that I didn't even notice it. It just bounced me past it, and I just landed on the landing, and yeah, I thought I was crashing for sure, but yeah, it's just definitely a whole different kettle of fish, those jumps.
How do you put your mind into, like, you've gone to camp jumps, you've gone to I've jumped big jumps before and all the rest of it, and then you get to this next place. Oh, it's my dog's trying to break in again. Let me just
You're right.
settle in for a minute there. We're talking about big jumps. Like, how do you roll up to a place and you think you've seen big jumps before, and then you go, holy shit, this is a new world. Like, what goes through your head?
I would always shit myself, if I'm honest. I guess coming from not riding big jumps all the time, it wasn't a natural thing for me. So all jumps were big to me. Every comp I'd get to them and I'd look at it and go, oh, fuck's sakes, I've got to learn how to jump these now. And it always come tenfold. And I guess is in life, it's probably helped me. I'm not even realising it, probably now talking about it. This is probably what's helped me realise things, where how you first see things, it's not always how it actually is. Sometimes you might think it's scary, but generally by the time you've had a crack and had a go at it, you realise pretty quickly that was all in my head. And generally that's what it was. It was always like, whoa, that's big. And I'd build this thing up to it, and I'd be thinking, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And you'd be procrastinating about it. And then the minute you jump it, you're like, what was I worried about? The second you'd hit them, you got your reference. And then from there, next thing you know, you're doing tricks and all that. And people are going, well, hey, you're doing that over there. And I guess you sort of just, whenever I'd see a new jump, even still now I see new jumps and I think, how much speed do I need? Do I need to pull back? Is there, like, what do I need to do to get over this jump? Because there's 2 different ways. You can hold it long and low and have less speed, or you can go cranking in with speed and pull back and get a bit of height out of it. But if you don't know what you need to do, some jumps are really hard to get over, so you want to really milk it and get it over it. A lot of comp jumps were like that, where you just had to, I guess, just roll in and soon find out, because everyone riding it was always different.
Do you follow someone in, or do you just I know what
generally, if I
3
tried,
pedals in, 3 cranks roll. You know.
I would try and follow someone in that was a very similar rider to me. No good following the trail riders, because the trail riders are very fast and they pull back and pull up a lot. They get a lot of height out of it. So you might follow them in and get a bit misleaded, thinking, oh yeah, sweet. And then all of a sudden they go, oh shit, they go straight up and you go, oh, I'm not going there. And then you see the landing go under you and you go, oh God, I've gone too fast. And then by the time you're landing, you're on each other because they've gone up and you've gone long. It's a bit of a awkward one. But that, for me, I found probably the hardest part was just getting through the jumps the first time. Whenever I'd go to new jumps, you're talking 30 foot plus, sometimes 35. When they were more than 20, 25, I was pretty fine. I didn't mind hitting them ones pretty well, just jump straight in and sort it. But once they get up 30 plus, it's a big jump. Like, it's a big jump. Just jumping off in the air and landing on your feet on the landing is bad enough. Even if you don't hurt yourself, just the fear of being in the air at that height and that speed, it's a bit. So yeah, big jumps I think always got me. I was prefer a small jump, and I'll send the same tricks on the small jump. But yeah, I think as I got on, bigger jumps, yeah, they just become a thing. It was where it went. You would have seen the change when they stopped being...
Well, you would have seen that progress. You would have seen that progression where, we got this and that, and then interstate comes, and then you got bigger X Games, and all the big comps start getting in there.
Even box jumps changed from when I was young.
In the 2002, there was nothing that big. 2005-ish, then your cams and people like that just start getting serious. They're riding down a hill.
You had to
they've
get
got
a hill.
gravity as well.
Yep.
Whereas we rode on flat
Used to
ground,
pedal
you pedal into them.
Yep. Which
Only goes
even
so far.
still, a lot of jumps I've ridden pedaling in style jumps. I can still hit a pedal in jump. Whereas nowadays you find a lot of riders that can't pedal into a jump.
Yeah.
They don't know what their reference is. They need that roll in, a visual of height, and so even that in itself is a skill to be able to, especially a big jump. You go hit a decent sized jump, you got to pedal into. It's tricky.
Have you ever tried any of these mega ramps? Did you ever get to see any of that? Do any of that sort of stuff?
No. One of the things I realised when riding cams jumps, and you probably would have seen a lot of the bikes of the early sort of era of like probably sort of more in my area. A lot of those jet bikes, they went real light and real short top tubes, and they were real sort of small stuff, real jibby kind of tricks. As soon as you hit a big jump on a bike like that, bit of breeze or something, your bike's doing this in the air. And so when I rode cams, like the full set for the first time, once he'd built the roll in and done all that, I couldn't even get to the 40-foot jump without tricking every jump, because if I straight jumped them, I had titanium spokes at the time and all this stuff. My top tube's real short, steering angle's probably too steep for those big jumps. I didn't realise it at the time, but you need a trail bike. You need long top tube, big bars, like relaxed bike.
More weight.
Almost like a dirt bike at that point. So I found that every time I'd get in the air, my bike would want to twist, or I'd feel uneasy and I couldn't feel settled. So I started tricking every jump into like a no-hand or a turn down or just something little, because if I put the motion in, the bike didn't move then because I was fully in control. Whereas if you just didn't do anything, you'd find that you just start floating in the air essentially because you're in the air for that long. So it didn't really sit well with me sort of coming from smaller jumps to big jumps because my bike just wasn't set for it.
Whereas, so it's much safer to trick a really big jump than just jump.
I probably shouldn't say it like that, but yeah, in reality, I even still now find doing a trick over something sets me up for it better.
It takes your mind out of one place to another, puts it to another.
Well, you know how to do the trick and you know the motion to do it, and it generally will set you up to land. Whereas if you just try to straight jump, you might just do a bit too much nose, and once you go too far, you can't come back, or not enough, and you might, overshoot or whatever it may be. So I found that the trick side of it would just take the unknown part out because I wouldn't even think about it. So yeah, a bit tricky on the big jump side of things for myself. I used to always struggle a little bit, but I'd never let it stop me, and it's probably why I used to hurt myself so often. Was I'd be in the air realising, oh shit, I probably should have done this, and then I'd crash and hurt myself. So yeah, probably should have thought more before dropping in rather than once I had dropped in. But I think that's probably how I got to doing a lot of these jumps. Was generally a comp comes and I'd sit on the roll in for 10, 15, doing nothing before I'd get to a point where I'd just go, just roll. And once you're in, it's too late now. You just go for it.
Commit, yeah.
And generally you work it out that it's not that bad. I was all in my head. Yeah. I used to procrastinate a lot though, sit on the roll in and just wouldn't talk. I'd be silent. Just
talk yourself out of it.
Talk myself out of it. And eventually someone would be like, what are you doing? Just go. They'd stop you going down the roll in backwards so you couldn't, so they'd make you go.
Yeah, you can't walk back out. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So where else did bikes take you? Where did BMX take you? Like, you've travelled to most states around Australia and
pretty much
beyond that?
For a good few years there, most states of Australia, Queensland, Sydney, Melbourne. WA was always not really. I think I've only been over there one time for demos. Other than that, I've never even been there personally for family or anything. It's just, not really much over there. But most of the eastern states, would be pretty well comps.
Overseas? Did you go overseas?
No. So India, we did demos, basically Luke Fink, Shane Conlon, Brendan Jones. There's a few of the crew that rode for volume bikes at the time. Some rode for standard, some rode for volume, but it was through BMX Militia. So Shane Conlon basically did, I don't know how it came about, but he did what do you call it, like action shots for a movie, Bollywood movie in India. And those people got in contact with him and they wanted people for the opening ceremony for the 2020 cricket when that first started. So that would have been 2005, 6, maybe around there somewhere when that 2020 cricket started. And they basically said, look, we need a bunch of BMX riders to do this opening ceremony. Are you keen? Can you organise some people? And he went, yeah, beautiful. I'll get the whole team over. So it was a bit lumpy. We sort of made it happen in the end. They were almost going to can it. And we were like, nah, we've put enough into this now.
Just give us a flight and we'll come.
Basically, yeah. I think the visas they were having dramas with and everything. And we just said, look, if we can get our own visas and get us there, you're all good, just still paying everything like that. And they were like, yep, beautiful, if you can get yourselves here. So we ended up footing ourselves over there and got us all there and, yeah, basically did this demo. I think we were there for 3-4 days. Yeah, dodgy ramps. They were so bad. They were meant to be a replica of the Bean Lee box jump. They weren't. They weren't at all.
Did they like make it the day before, or they had riders there that you also rode with?
No, we were it.
You were it.
Yeah, we were it. So no BMXs there.
No Bollywood BMXs.
Nope. There was a Bollywood star that did this big dramatic entrance across this flying fox with all these fireworks and got stuck halfway. And I still remember him lowering this thing down. It was live with all the fireworks on it, and they lowered it down onto the fence. The sparks going everywhere. And, it was bad. I still remember watching them building the ramps, and they've all their power tools are just twisted the cable, the ends of the cable around a nail in a board, which has got the mains going to it.
Everything's flopping and slopping
really,
around.
really bad. They had a circular saw there. I don't think they used it. I remember watching them, about 4 dudes holding this piece of timber, and one dude sawing it in the middle, and they put the 2 ramps together, and obviously their measurements and everything were great, and they had a big gap up the centre of the ramp where it joined. So basically don't hit the centre, because they were meant to have 6 ramps around, and I think they turned them into 3 because they built them too skinny. So we made them join them together and then just turn it into the 3. And they skinned the face of the ramp with like gyprock, essentially. One of the boys, and it was
good. Like kink ramps, or do they have curved
they were not
transition?
too bad, but yeah, they weren't.
What you had 3 box jumps in a row or something? Is that right?
Around the oval, so you're pedaling up on grass and then hit a box jump on grass, land back on grass,
keep rolling around.
Okay. So yeah, you're pedaling on a resistive surface already.
Oh, yeah.
That the second you stop pedaling will slow you down. So you almost had to go too fast and let it slow you to the speed,
Yeah.
and then as soon as you'd hit the ramp, speed would pick up again. So yeah, we were all by the end of it getting a bit over it. It was pretty poorly
How
organised.
many demos or how many shows were you doing
Just
there?
the one. It was just the one.
Okay.
So basically, once the cricket started, stadium was chockers full. That was pretty surreal in itself. I've never seen so many people in my life. I've just seen the stadium in New Delhi, I think it was, but it's multiple layers. I was actually more concerned whether that stadium was going to hold up the amount of people that were in there. It was quite surreal. We're just looking around. A lot of people.
Was that daytime, nighttime? Like you've
Just
rolled out,
night, yeah.
The music's gone quiet, and here's the BMX.
Pretty
guys.
much, yeah. And they had the Bollywood people. They had like musicians and stuff going on, and the fireworks and all the stuff happening. And I think we did 2 laps all up, and then that was it. Once the show was over, the cricket started, and yeah, we had to convince the guys to let us out. They're all standing there, machine guns and everything, at this big giant steel gate, letting people in. And we made them open it to let us out so we could get out. And once they opened it, I remembered hearing one of the guys going, "You shouldn't have done that," because everyone started trying to push in.
Oh, yeah, okay. But outside,
That's what I mean. They're standing there with
pushing
machine
for free.
guns. Yeah. So they eventually got it shut again. And once we were
Where
out,
were you staying there? What was that experience like being
just in a hotel. It was pretty surreal. I'd never been overseas, so yeah, going to India for my first time overseas was a little bit of an eye opener. Basically, yeah, just staying in the ghetto in New Delhi. Nice hotel and everything, but yeah, you're looking at shanties all around, and there's just people on the side of the street begging. And
how
all
long were you
sorts.
there for?
3 days, I think it was. It wasn't too long.
Okay.
Yeah.
So more time in the air almost than time on the ground.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then we spent most of the time in the stadium not doing much. We had to sort of hustle them out a bit to let us out and go have a look around and do a bit of shopping because, I think they were probably more worried about us going out and getting lost and then not being there for the event. So they were sort of trying to keep us captive, essentially.
You were the main, you were part of the circus act.
Pretty much. That was pretty much what it was. And then at the end of it, they've handed us all an envelope with, I think it was like $1,200 US or something in there, and just, there you go, see you later.
Yeah.
There's your flight, go home. So it was a little bit rushed, and I wouldn't really call it a great BMX experience, but at the same time, it was a good eye-opener, got me overseas, and I definitely wanted to go to the States and stuff. When I was younger, I was sort of planning, I guess, that route, but now looking back at it as an adult and wondering why it never happened, I almost feel like I never wanted it to
that
actually
badly.
happen. No, I wanted it. But now looking, I realise I just enjoyed riding my bike and having fun. I don't know if I really actually wanted that pro, full, serious, because once you went to the States and it all started happening, it was it. It's happening now. And for me, I was a bit, now looking back, I think, yeah, that's probably why I never really actually made it happen, was because I just wanted to stay hanging out with my mates and just ride my bike and have fun. In reality, that was the whole point of it. I did it because I wanted to ride my bike and have fun. I didn't do it because I wanted to be sponsored. Wasn't trying to sort of do anything.
You just happened to have skills, and people said,
And once it happened, don't get me wrong, I wanted to go down that route and wanted to be sponsored and everything. But now looking on it as an adult, I guess the whole sponsorship thing, everybody goes for it. Oh, I want to be sponsored, but not realising what comes with it, where even now the bike I'm riding now currently is the first bike that I've had a choice in what I wanted to build it and what parts I wanted, and I had a bit of like, oh shit, I've never actually had an option. It's always just been, here's the catalogue, pick your bit and off you go. So in reality, I was actually nice to not have to be held down to anything. So yeah, once you get sponsored, you think it's all great and all, but it's a job. It comes with things you need to do if you're being sponsored. You've got to return. You have to
stop yourself doing
100%
in order to perform on Saturday night. 100%,
which is probably where most BMXers don't perform well. Was BMX games, they always did it for dirt. I don't know why. You'd have park the day before, and then basically you'd have the after party on the Saturday night. But then BMX is still happening on the Sunday. So we'd all be riding dirt, plastered from the night before. And I think it was the last BMX games I went in that I just had this bright move that I thought, maybe I don't go out the night before and don't drink with everybody. But of course I was always underage then too, so it was probably not helping me being young. And yeah, there was one year there where I just went, no, I'm not going out. I just stayed in the hotel room and yeah.
And you probably performed pretty well.
I think I actually rode a little bit better, but not enough that it probably was justifiable.
But everyone else probably rode worse.
I think, there was a few people I don't think that made it. There was a few of my mates that got lost that night and never even came back. Yeah. So, yeah.
So did you enjoy competition more or demos more?
That's a good question. I feel like I like the idea of the competition more, and in my head I want the comp, and I feel, but then once you are in a comp and you're trying to win and there's a challenge there, there's something to lose. So now you're sort of, I guess it's not all the positive sort of side, whereas a demo, it's all positive. You know, the crowd's loving it, you're loving it, you get excited. You're not held to do anything. If you don't feel like doing a certain trick, you don't have to. Whereas when you're competing, I found sometimes you'd be doing a trick that I might not find that trick the funnest to do, but I'm doing it because I need to win. Yeah, so generally I'd find there were certain tricks that I'd do for fun because I enjoyed them, like flips. I actually enjoy doing flips, but I got to a point where I'd stop doing them because you get to a skate park, a normal park, and people, you do a backflip, and they get all, it's like, they're not even hard. They're the easiest thing. The wow factor for me went, but the fun of them was still there. So I'd enjoy doing them, but I'd find that I'd start just doing jumps and just kick the back end out and stuff because it was more enjoyable to me and I'd get something out of it, but I'm not there to impress anyone or trying to win a comp or do anything fun. So yeah, I guess it's sort of hard. I guess I would say I'd prefer the demos more. You'd learn more.
Because we did a few with the Supercross and the stuff like here in Adelaide at Wayville and things like that.
I did lots of demos, so probably I did more demos than comps, I would say, towards the end especially. So when I did that, I reckon that got dirt. I'm pretty sure I had a broken wrist at the time. I think that was when I broke my wrist in Queensland doing that front flip, and that's why I didn't ride in Got Dirt. I ended up doing the judging on that one. But most of the comps, basically, like local comps, I'd always do a demo and judge, whether it be through Shep at the clinic. So he used to organise quite a lot of the youth week stuff whenever that would all come up. And once again, it got to that point where I didn't want to ride in anything local anymore. There was no point. You know, even if they had like a pro category, it's just, no, not unless there's other pros coming over. It's just not my place. I'll demo, I'll judge, I'll commentate, whatever. But I didn't see any sense in me competing in it. It's just taken away from somebody else then at that point. And there were multiple times that I'd have mates, other people come up, like, oh, you riding today? And I'd be like, oh, yeah. And they'll go, oh, I don't know if I'm going to enter.
Fuck.
And I'm like, why? I want to ride with you. Like this. And I think, well, then I'm not going to win. And it's like, okay, so maybe I'll have to stop riding then. And then I'll just ride in the demo part with you guys.
That's a pretty nice thought, that the way that you approach it, that the spirit of... it's not to win. It's just I'll do my best and you do your best.
Essentially,
who wins? You know, it's not about the trophy.
But to know that there were people that would be sitting at a deficit already, thinking that like, oh well, I'm going to say Mozzy's going in, and I'm not going to go in it then. And it's like, I might crash. I might hurt myself. You don't know.
There's no given.
But it got to a point where I realised that I'm like, no, I'm just taking opportunities away here. Not that people didn't have an opportunity to beat me, but it was more that they were letting me beat them before they'd even signed the thing to enter the comp. Yeah. So I just got to a point where I went, nah, I'm not doing it anymore. I'll just stand back and watch. Not that you really got anything out of those comps anyway. You know what I mean? It was more just bragging rights between your mates and whatnot. Maybe, $100 or something.
You know, I see it in other, like, downhill or trials. And, if they're on the table, look, you're only playing behind these guys.
Yes.
And to put your head in any other space, it's just like, if I can come close, if I could come close to Mozzy in a comp, I'd be stoked with that.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And that's sort of where I would rather than be competing against me, because otherwise, well, then what's the point in me going in? And if no one else is actually competing, like, then I'm going to win by default. You could do your half trick and just go, look, I'll win anyway with an X up. Yeah. And at that rate, it was, early on, it was easy. You go and do a flip and sit down for the rest of the comp. No one else could do one. You won. Yep. So it was easy back then.
And a lot of people thought that was a circus trick. The demos, like everyone, the spectators sitting on the seats, all they could understand, they probably couldn't understand a tail whip. They couldn't understand a bar spin. It happened, I couldn't quite see, but a backflip, he went upside down and he landed and rolled away. As a circus trick
in demos.
Everyone loved it.
You had the circuit trick, the flips, Supermans, your big tail whips, things like that. The wow factor tricks. If it looks exciting, then it's probably going to seem exciting for most people. But
they wouldn't understand a truck driver.
They don't, and they wouldn't even know if I'd done it both ways.
No,
they'd have no idea. I remember one of the BMX Games comps, and I still to this day honestly don't actually think the judge. I don't know who they
didn't
were.
Get a score that
I actually don't think they realised what I had done when I did it, because a few riders. So there was Ricardo Laguna, I think his name was, from America. At the time, he was pretty good, and they flew him over for this BMX Games, and there's an American here, and everyone's bloody faffing out over this guy, and he didn't really ride much better than everybody else. Good, don't get me wrong, but he didn't do anything that was anything drastic compared to other riders. I think one of his runs was pretty basic too. It was like a flip the first, tail whip, and then like maybe a 360 or something. It was pretty straightforward. And I remember doing, I think it was double whip, and then I think I did 360 tail whip and then opposite 360 tail whip. And then did the same thing with like straight tail whips, but was like switching my feet in between and stuff. And everyone come up to me afterwards and they're like, "Oh, what'd you
riders could pick it.
They were like, "What'd you qualify?" And I'm like, "I actually didn't even qualify." And they're like, "Wait, what? What do you mean? How did you not qualify?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just didn't qualify." And a few of them actually went over and asked, and they're like, "Did you even see the fact that he did that both ways with his feet switched? Or did you just think he did two tail whips? Because how did he not even qualify?" But then the other guy's first place. So it got to a point where I thought,
the judges didn't understand.
Don't get too tricky sometimes with demos, even in comps. Unless you know who the judges are and you know they're going to see it, you're almost kind of setting yourself up for failure where they just don't even see that it was opposite.
Yeah.
So,
and some people like style, like trail style. It's different to tricks. And
Definitely.
It's just like, it's a big jump and you did this, but you did that. It's like...
they might look at it differently. Definitely. And that's where generally if I did opposite tricks from that day forward, I learnt to do both ways, one into the other. So it was very obvious that it was that was one way and then that's straight away the second way and, highlight it. But, it just depends really, like what they want to see. And I think at that rate too, it was the first American they've brought over. I think he had to place well, if I'm honest. It would have been weird if he didn't even qualify. But, I feel like, definitely the demos for me, I learnt a lot. So we did the Royal Show as well. I did those through... I think it was the Planet X Games and stuff.
Yep.
Back then it would have been the up and go bread that they would have had and stuff like that. And I think I did the one in Adelaide, I remember, for free. I just thought I just want to ride in it with the boys and everything, and a few of the guys got in there, and Andrew Gull, I think at the time, was doing it.
He was pretty good.
So basically he's got me in and said, "Look, if you do this one for free, we need someone from Melbourne anyway. We might snap you up for that." And sure enough, by the end of the week, they basically said, come to Melbourne with us. You fly yourself there. We obviously don't have room in the car, but fly yourself over and we'll pick you up and go from there. So, they picked me up from the airport, and I think it was 10 days in Melbourne. Just stayed in the accommodation with them. I reckon I was 16 at the time. There for 10 days doing demos, I think we did about 4 or 5 a day. And that was basically just when I learned double whips. And I think that 10 days, every demo I did 1 or 2 of them every demo. So by the end of that 10 days...
You're getting paid to learn.
Yeah. Every trick, like my Supermans, everything. just
On a consistent
all day,
jump, on a,
yep, all day, every day, just throwing down and just every now and
Build your
again,
confidence.
might try a little something different. And if it worked, I go, I might try that tomorrow too. And then all of a sudden, after a day or two's gone by, bang, that trick's dialed. So that was sort of really where I ended up getting a lot of my tricks just locked in, and I could just pretty well do them on anything, and yeah, sort of really set home. And then any demos I did from there on out, it was, yeah, you sort of had your tricks, you knew what you did and what wowed the crowd.
Fire them out, yeah. See their response.
So yeah, I definitely probably enjoy the demo side of it more. I think in reality, the whole riding the bike and being good at it, I guess I like when you can wow someone and someone goes, that's impressive.
And the crowd's cheering, and you give them a high five as there's your kids lined up,
It's
and
a bit of a pat on the back.
A high five down there. That's.
I still remember.
Get sign an autograph afterwards.
BMX games in Wayville there. That was the first time I'd signed an autograph, and I mean I'm 14 at the time. I think it was. I don't even have an autograph. I don't even know what I wrote at the time. I think I probably just wrote Mozzy or something. Yeah.
Where did that name come from?
I was literally just thinking that. We should probably touch on that.
Yeah.
So
you can crack your beer there if you want.
Essentially, I'll finish this one. Essentially, the all the boys that I grew up riding with when I learnt flips, so Damon, Tim Rossiter, all those boys, we all learnt flips at the same time. So we're all it used to be a thing for us. The skate parks were all kind of new for us going to them. Sometimes we'd be, let's go ride this park. We haven't ridden it, so let's go there. And back then we were all sort of early licenses, things like that. So we'd be driving out to these parks, Mount Barker, things like that we sort of couldn't get to before. So the goal for everyone was, who's going to do the first flip? Someone's going to do a flip, and what's it going to be out of? So everyone would get to the park, and within 5 minutes we're all looking around like, where's the best quarter to flip? And everyone would always kind of... But I think everybody else thought about it way more than I did. So I was always like, I'm going to flip out of this. The first thing I touch, I'll just bang, go do one.
First thing, out the car, bikes out the car.
And that was what it was. So they would have to take a little bit more time, sort of plan it out, build it up, build a bit of confidence, and then they'll send one. Yeah. Whereas I was like, I just see a quarter pipe, I'll just do a flip out of it. I don't care. Yeah. So that's pretty much what happened every time we'd go to a park. And it got to a point where I still remember one day picking up the phone at home, and this is back like home phone, we'd do three-way calls,
cable connected,
dial the number, three-way calls. And I actually reckon the phone that I used to use was in my mum's room at the time, and it was like one of the old, you'd be
dial the phone,
little handheld thing. And I remember sitting on the phone to a mate, we were talking, carrying on, and then all of a sudden I just heard in the background like buzz, buzz, and I'm going, hell was that noise? And before I realised it was like, we're on a three-way call, one of the other boys on the other end, now he's piping in and he's starting to... And they knew what they were talking about, but I don't know why I'm going, I hear this buzzing. I'm going, what are you talking about? I don't get it. What are you talking about? And then he's just like, Mozzy. I'm thinking, what? I don't understand. What do you mean, Mozzy? And anyways, they sort of piped up and said, basically the fact that you can just do them wherever and whenever, it's bloody annoying. You're like buzzing around the skate park like a little Mozzy, just flipping here, there and everywhere. And it sort of got to a point where it just stuck. I was always doing flips at that age too, because I was young. It was like, they were pretty cool. I was pretty impressed that I could do them, so I always did them. And then, it stuck. Got to a point where I think one of the comps I entered, I wrote Daniel Dunn, and they've all come around behind me. And because we used to know the commentators and people that will organise it, they'd all just go up to him after them. They'd cross my name out, write Mozzy, call him Mozzy over the two-way and everything. And so when they call me out and everything, and it just stuck. And then I think when that BMX Games thing here happened, that was sort of my first exposure to magazines, things like that. Warwick Wheeler pretty well sort of took a bit of a liking the night before. We were at City Park on that Friday night, and he was a bit like, well, shit, you guys are pretty good here, and took a bunch of photos, and everyone called me Mozzy. So to them, all those boys, I was Mozzy. And from that day forward, I was Mozzy. And I even got to a point where I lived with a mate of mine 2 years before he realised, he's like, what is your real name? And I'm like, don't you know? He's like, no, it's Daniel. He goes, I didn't know that, because it had nothing to do with Mozzy, so no one really put the connection together. It was, when you sort of hear how I get it, it's like, that wasn't what I thought. But
I got a few mates that go, what's actually your real name? It's like,
most people just call you by your nickname.
And do people still call you Mozzy now? Is that still?
Sure do, yeah. So
you go into a new environment?
Yes.
Like, how do you introduce yourself?
It is awkward. So I read the room generally now, and if it's anyone that rides BMX or anyone that would know me as Mozzy, I'll generally go as Mozzy. most of the time now I just go by Daniel. Just it's easier.
What do you do now? What's your day job now?
Electrician. So I've just started my own business, working for myself, which is great. Working for people my whole life has led to this point now. It's definitely a lot better working for myself, a bit more freedom, which leads me to I probably should be riding my bike a little bit more.
When you, I assume that when you're quoting for a job, you don't introduce yourself as Mozzy.
No. So the last job I just quoted actually was Josh Kay, one of the boys that we used to ride with back in the day.
In that case,
so I was another
maybe.
BMXer. So I heard Mozzy get yelled out from around the corner. So yeah, that was a little bit. It takes me back.
So how did you fall into bike riding to electrician? Was there a journey in there? Was there a gap in there, or how did that flow?
Not really. So basically, once I guess to get myself there, I lived in Mildura for about 3 years. Moved over there with a partner. Still riding and everything like that. At that point, BMX had pretty well fizzled a bit in Adelaide. Like even in Australia, to be fair, the comps weren't really happening. It was mostly just demos, jams, little things pop up. So I was just kind of like, I'm not going to stop my life and just keep trying to do this BMX thing in Adelaide and whatever. I might like moving to Mildura is not going to hurt me. So I did the move for a couple of years. It was fine, no issues. But while I was there, ended up getting a truck license and started driving trucks. Moved back to Adelaide, drove trucks. I think it was within the first 6 months of moving back to Adelaide, I destroyed my knee. So ACL,
How long
MCL.
ago did you move back to Adelaide? What sort of time frame? What years?
I was 22, I reckon. So that would have been 2014, I think it was, around there, 2013, 14.
You'd left Adelaide around 2014, or you're coming back?
So when I come back was about 14. So I reckon it was about 2000 and maybe 11, 10, 11 maybe.
Up to then, you're riding BMX full-time, every day.
Wasn't even working. I think the last 6 months before we moved away, I was working because I was getting older and got a license and all those things, and sort of just got to a point where I'm like, I need money. I need money for fuel and food and all the stuff. So started getting a bit of work and stuff. So I was just living off riding and just poor BMXer as I was back in the day, and just didn't really need much. But as I started getting into cars and stuff a little bit too, I started going like, kind of need a little bit more money than what I've got, and the comps aren't here and the demos aren't enough. Wow, I guess I'll get a job. So yeah, that sort of stemmed into obviously just continuing on working from that point. And I used to work at the bike shop and stuff a couple of days when I was younger. And
what bike shop?
Standish, just to fill the gap. Obviously, just a bit of extra cash, but it was never enough. I don't think it ever is working. So yeah, that like I said, when I come back to Adelaide, I reckon it was 6 months after I moved back, I just destroyed my knee, and that was pretty much it. Couldn't ride again. Knee was done. ACL, MCL, and meniscus all just done.
What happened that day?
So I was out filming with James Wade, filming to do an edit essentially, and I think that was day one. So we were that previous day, me and my brother and a few mates, we went out dirt bike riding. We out all day out riding, and I reckon that was probably what's done it. Was my leg muscles and everything are probably a bit from the day before, and then was out riding just at the city jumps, filming, doing stuff. And I remember I did a double tail whip over the last one. Caught the pedals, and basically as soon as I caught the pedals, the bike started to twist, and I thought, shit, I've got to take a foot off here. So I took a foot off, but I was kind of leaning back a little bit and had no brakes. So I couldn't even just grab a fistful of brake and just sit on my seat and just kind of ride it out. If I'd have sat on my seat with no brakes on and landed like that, I would have looped out, and which now in hindsight was probably the better way. But so I've slapped a foot down with all my weight on it, and as soon as I put my foot down, you can hear it on the camera too. You hear the slap of my foot hit the ground, and I remember seeing my foot out next to me and thought, what's that? I didn't crash. I stayed on the bike, but I knew my leg was done. I felt it pop, and I thought I actually snapped my tib and fib just under my knee. That's what it felt like. Felt like my leg had popped. And I've just sort of upped the roll in and just chucked the bike and just grabbed my leg and instantly realised that my leg's not broken. I'm like, that was my knee. Oh, no. I knew it straight away. I was like, that's it. It's the knee. Like, the knee's pretty well the killer. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still ride now and everything, but...
Did you get surgery on that? Or?
So this was the kicker, was working at the time. I was driving, and he just moved back. I was driving. Basically just didn't have the money to have the time off to cover me for the amount of time I needed off work. And because it wasn't a work injury or anything like that, I think I'd had a job. I think I'd done 1 week, and I had to just hand the job in. So I was now jobless. Knee is done. I think eventually it come good. Got to a point where I'm like, I can go for another job now. Ended up getting another job driving trucks. I did that for 2 years, 3 years nearly, trying to work out how.
No riding in this time?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. I
Not
did start
just
to
for-
ride a few months after I'd done it, had a brace and everything on, and then destroyed it again. I had a mate filming and put my foot down right in front of him, and he's heard the pop, and he goes, "Was that your brace breaking or your knee?" And I'm like, "Oh, that was my knee." Oh, fuck. And yeah, basically that was the ACL snapping instead of being ruptured, which at that rate it was buggered anyway. It was, yeah, it just kind of reassured that it was well and truly buggered.
So you couldn't stop yourself. You can't just ride. I want to ride and do tricks.
And the trick I was doing too, it was like riding up a bench on a skate park and tried to do like a 180 downside whip. So I'm like, kind of my trajectory is going towards, if I'm going to put a foot down, it's my bad foot. I don't know why I did it. It just, in my mind, I thought I could still do this. I could still put my foot down, and the second my foot hit the ground and my foot stopped and my body wanted to keep going, my leg just went pop. And yeah, from that day forward, I pretty well couldn't ride at all. So it got to a point where I couldn't actually compress my knee. So like trying to bend it all the way, it would just bunch up inside, and it would feel like it was trying to open, and just didn't feel great at all. So I just pretty well didn't touch my bike for a good, I don't know, it was probably maybe 18 months. Just did everything else and just let the knee go. And then one day I was at my old man's working on my car, and I was walking out the front, and I just went to sort of stop to turn a corner, and my knee just went and just gave way. Like I couldn't put pressure on it and rely on it. It would just go because there was nothing holding it together. And yeah, this time it just snapped and folded, and it was really, really bad. I couldn't even touch the tip of my toes on the ground, like just tap them without putting me into tears. And my old man came out, he's going, "What's happening? Like, you've got to do something about this knee." So I've got no choice now. I can't even touch my foot on the ground. I can't even go to work next week. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that night I went inside, jumped on the bank, applied for a loan, just borrowed what I needed to cover myself for the 6 months, and just went, I'll recoup later. I'll worry about that later on. And just because I still had a job at the time, no one knew that my knee was hurting. So I just borrowed the money and went, I've got no choice now. Booked the surgery, and I think I was in surgery 2 weeks later. My dad's partner, she's a nurse, so she knows surgeons, and yeah, did a bit of wiggling and got it happening.
Contacts.
Yeah, got a good surgery. A surgeon sorted for it, and yeah, basically got it all done. And turned out that after I woke up, so obviously you're supposed to get up and walk around and do your thing afterwards, I'd split basically. So like you got your knee joint, I'd split down the top of my tib and fib down the centre, and I couldn't walk for 6 weeks. So now not only have I just had the surgery, I can't even do rehab after. I had to wait 6 weeks. So yeah, lost a lot of muscle in the leg from that, and yeah, it's pretty well just been, I can still ride now, I can still do stuff. My knee's actually pretty good now. It hasn't, touch wood, it hasn't...
How long ago was this? How long ago was that? Surgery?
10 years, maybe? Actually, no, the surgery's probably...
Long enough to know.
Getting near 10 years. Yeah, like it's been done. I've had the screw removed.
Yeah.
So essentially on the last, I think it was about 12 months ago, the screw just started backing itself out and just started just undoing, and I could feel the head of the screw on my knee, and it was like numb, pins and needles, going weird. And yeah, went and seen the surgeon. He goes, "Nah, that's got to come out." He x-rayed it, and he's like, "Nah, that's coming out." So yeah, it was only about 12 months ago. Had surgery, and he's recut me open and took the screw and everything out. So
in the last 10 years, have you been able to ride?
I can ride still
For fun, but not doing tricks?
so I
or
can
you
still do tricks
tempt
and-
yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess
You're not going to do a double tail whip? Or
look, for me, I guess in this sort of sense, like there's been a few times where I've thought, do I just do one more, like, filming like a little edit or do something to sort of, but I guess I've sort of got to,
what?
that's what I mean. Like I've sort of got to have this realization that I've sort of had my time when I was young. I can still ride now, and I can still flip. I can still do tail whips. It's a lot harder for me, don't get me wrong. It's more the muscles and the balance side of it that I just need to ride more in a scheme of things. But up here, it's all still there. I can still do it all, no worries.
The muscle
but
memory wouldn't take long.
but, the body-
Give you a resi mat, give you a bit of fun stuff.
Definitely. I can
Dwayne
still...
came out to one of the beer and barbecue fests.
Yes.
And his first jump, he just did a jump. Second jump, third jump, tried a backflip and hurt himself.
Yes.
He goes, it was been 10 years since you did that, mate.
And that's, for me, I start realising where I'm like, if I'm going to be putting effort into the riding now, I think it's with my kids. Like,
tell
I'll
us
ride
about
with
your
them.
kids. Yeah.
So
tell us
for
about that.
me, I mean, they watch me ride, and they're only young at the moment. The two boys are 3 and 5. He's almost 4. And then daughter's 9, and then we've got a newborn. She's a month and a half.
4 kids?
Yeah. 4.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so hands
Far
full.
out. Yeah.
So yeah, for me, that's my enjoyment now. I get more of a kick out of watching them ride, but my littlest one, he's 3 years old. He gets on his balance bike, and without me, I actually barely take him riding that much. I probably should be using that as the excuse to get myself out of the house and get riding more. But they got little electric balance bikes and stuff like that. We get out quite a bit on them, but our backyard now we've got a bit more room, so they ride in the backyard by themselves a lot. And I can tell the boys they're going to be like me. I don't need me to drag them along and show them anything. My youngest can already bunny hop his balance bike at 3 years old. Just muscles it up and does a bunny hop. They
When
hit
the time comes, they'll go, oh, actually, Dad used to do some pretty good
they've
stuff.
watched me ride. I think that's the problem. So they see it as normal.
Yeah.
They see me ride, do jumps, and like I just jump on a bike, hop a 180, whatever. And they're like, how do you do that? How do you do that? And I'll do a flip or do something weird. And so to them, they just see that as normal.
So you still do a flip now?
Yeah,
like
still do a flip. Yeah, flip. They're probably the easier one, the safer one, because you don't leave the bike.
Where are you doing a flip today with you and your kids?
Just out of a quarter pipe at a skate park.
It's just as simple as that. Yeah. How old are you? How young are you now?
36.
36.
Yes, so bald and grey, and I'm definitely not the little kid anymore. But
no.
Yeah, it's definitely one of them things now that when I go to a skate park or something, I still find, I'll just chuck a little flip. It's
say some of these young punks.
I think it's kind of pretty cool. Most people kind of see this old bloke there with their kids.
You should have stopped riding by now, mate.
It is a bit like that, but I'll still do it just purely for a bit of I can still ride. Yeah. Just sometimes I test myself.
Yourself.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I can tell I'm getting older because I find that there's times where I stop and think and I go, can I still do that? And I have to really think about it and think, I don't know if I'd want to try to find out. So yeah, there's definitely the tricks are still there. I can still ride. I just don't see any need for it. In reality, I guess you would have seen the videos of where the level of riding is at these days. I don't know if I would want to try to keep up with that.
You see stuff, there's kids 10 years old doing
it's insane.
the craziest stuff. Yeah, every week I send you, holy cow.
I was watching a video the other day of a little, I reckon he might be 9 or 10 years old, little Asian kid, and would be 10 times better than I was when I was in my prime.
Cranking into huge big jumps.
I probably wouldn't even hit the jumps.
Windshield wipers or something, you know.
Yeah, and that to me is where I start realising that, what are you trying to do here? Like, I think BMX has changed a lot, obviously, since I was a kid too, where to be the best, it's 110% commitment. You can't be just a kid on a bike at the skate park doing some jumps. You can, but there will come a certain time where the guy going to the gym and exercising and training and eating right and doing all the right things is going to benefit more than you are. So that's sort of, I think, the side of things for myself.
It's become serious.
It is, and it always was.
Back then it was just about balls, but you could go out the night before, get drunk, whatever, come to the party, and I got this trick, and I've just got to land this one banger, and then the crowd's going to go nuts.
And you might win. And I think the thing for me now is seeing that gap, I guess, of, you don't put 1% of effort in and someone else is putting that percent of effort in, they're going to be better than you. And whether it's for fitness or whether it's for strength or, when they crash, they don't actually injure themselves. So they might not win that comp, but they're at the next one. Whereas you might have crashed and actually hurt yourself because you're not fit enough and all those little things. And it just got to a point where I'm like, I've got a family. I'm obviously now working for myself, but obviously just working in general, you start getting to a point where you can't afford to be hurt. And as you get older, it happens more.
That's horrible. I got to that point where
my ankles are glass now.
You make all these excuses why you can't do something, and then you kick yourself, and just sometimes you go and hurt yourself again.
Yeah, so I find I'm very much like that still. So my ankles now are pretty well gone. Like basically the ligaments and stuff that hold the bone, the joint together, they're not even on the bone anymore. They're just floating around. So sometimes I'll be walking through the shops and go to grab something off the aisle on a flat surface, and my ankle will go, not today, mate, and drop me.
So you'll be one of those gophers doing tricks when you're 60.
I hear it now. Even when I was working, when I was a bit younger, I used to always get there, you wait till you're older, and you're like, I don't think what you did when you were a kid versus what I did when I was a kid are the same. I think I'm going to feel it sooner. So already, like, my back's trash. I got compressed discs, vertebrae bulging out and hitting on nerves and all that stuff.
You still look pretty healthy now. What are you doing to keep yourself fit and healthy now?
Just working, to be honest. Dealing with the kids and the stuff at home. It's it keeps me fit. I ask quite often if I lost more weight, and I don't think I can eat enough crap to put it on. If I tried, I do that much work and that much stuff at home that it just burns off. So it's good. But yeah, I think as I start slowing down when I get older, that's when I'll start seeing it all come and compound.
You got plenty of time yet. Don't worry about
I've been fat. When I was driving trucks, I was fat for a little bit there. So climbing through roofs and being a little bit more active at work has sorted me out there. But yeah, Renault at home and doing all sorts.
So electrician, what's your, give yourself a plug, like,
So
you looking for extra work or?
Oh yeah, always looking for work. But yeah, it's at this rate, it's just myself, so I can only do so much of it. But yeah, it's been ticking along good.
What's your business name? What's your
D1 Electrical and Air, so I do air conditioning as well, split systems, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, trying to keep it not too big, if that makes sense. Like I don't want to grow this massive company and yeah, just be too hard into something. I would rather keep it a little bit more maintainable. And yeah, look, not going to be a millionaire out of it, but at the end of the day, as long as I can have some time back and be comfy and
have time with the kids.
That's the biggest thing for me. So being able to, if the kids, when they're going to school, if I want to drop them off or pick them up, or, if they've got sports events on or anything like that, I can just pick to choose and want to be there. I'm not worrying about losing my job or anything silly. So that for me is probably the biggest kicker to working for myself is, just not having to worry about being at work all day, every day. And I can be there a bit more for the kids when they need it and spend a bit of time and effort into them.
Do you ever have dreams at night about riding again? Like, are you
All the time.
fond or sad of memories sometimes?
Yes. Yeah, quite often. I think there's, like I was saying before, I think I've had this, I've gone around in circles on it a fair bit with not going to the States and doing that sort of side of thing. Really should have, even just for the experience, even if it was something that fizzled out in the end and I never really sort of did anything with it. But I do often think, I should have done more. And even still now where I go, I can still ride. Like you go, look at Matt Hoffman, for instance, he'd be getting close to 60 years old now. And I see videos of him doing big airs on vert ramps still.
It's in your blood. Yeah.
You can't not do it. And I think that's the part of me where I think I'll always do things like that. I'll always jump on my bike. I can't help it. That's sort of how I got there in the first place was, you put something like that, go-kart or anything in front of me and I see it fun, I'm jumping on it and I'm having a go. It's just, I can't help it. So nowadays I find I look back and I think, God, I probably should be riding my bike and before I'm too old and actually can't, because I can now still. But then I still have these times where I go, no, because I know what's going to happen. I know what I'll do. I'm the same. I can't help myself.
You'll get comfortable.
And then I'll do something stupid.
You're an hour and a half in, you have a drink and you go, hey, I'm going to just show these young kids.
I bought a mountain bike, had a downhill mountain bike for a little while there and thought, I'll just stay off the jumps and keep my feet on the bike and limbs on and ride down the hills and great, good fun. But the BMX part of it's still there where I'm going, I try and push it a bit. And just before my son was born, I think it was that day, my wife went into labour that night and I went up to Eagles and thought, I'll have a ride quickly before baby's here. And I nearly had a crash. I remember nearly going over the bars in a rocky section. I don't know how I saved it, but I remember just stopping, sitting on the frame, skidding off to the side and stopping and just looked back and thought, I'm going home. I'm selling this bike. I can't be out here by myself smashing my face down a set of rocks when I got kids at home and I just went, nah. So I sold the bike. I was a bit annoyed. I kind of probably wanted to keep it and keep riding the downhill. It's good fun. Fitness is great for it, but it's the same thing. I just can't help myself. It's just a matter of time till I hurt
moment,
myself.
your priorities are family. It
100%.
comes and goes. Like I'm over 50 now. The priorities change and you get it back again.
This is where I want to start. So my boys are pretty at that age now where I can take them to parks and things like they drop in and all sorts and doing jumps and things and they'll enjoy it. They'll learn more me taking them. So I am at a point now where I'm thinking I probably should, whether it be a Friday night, whether we just start a bit of a tradition and just take them down to the park and whether they want to ride much or not, even if we're down there for a little bit. But I think for myself, I want to keep the wheels moving and keep the bike under me. So then when I am in my 50s, I can still jump on a bike and do a jump or two here or there and not feel...
See Paul Rudd, I caught up with him and he's turned 50, and he's still out there hitting the big trails, Again, most of the BMX boys have gone to mountain bikes. It seems like a safe transition.
It is definitely. And I think in myself too, I mean, like I've been into cars my whole life, so cars have always been there, but that's always been my safe net. They always say with age comes a cage, so I guess for myself, getting into cars has been a bit of I can still have fun and I guess being at drift cars, so it's...
Yeah, tell us a bit about that.
You're throwing yourself in that same realm, I guess, I've been involved with the drift community for... What would that be now? Since I was about 16 years old. And obviously that's been going on for a long time. But Luke Fink got into it early on, which obviously riding BMX, I think it just comes from the same thing of natural progression of wanting to sort of push things. And yeah, a lot of the people that I know through drifting So Christian Pickering, you probably remember Christian. Yeah, so Christian, quite heavy into the drifting as well. And I think a lot of the guys are either skate, BMX or motocross. Pretty well, most of those kind of people have come. Nowadays, obviously, that it's popularised more and people are doing it because it's a popular thing to do, and the cool kids get a cool car or whatever. But generally, a lot of those people were people that either got out of riding or whatever and didn't do it for the fear of crashing or whatever it may have been, or injury or whatnot.
They still got that fast thinking, that fast reaction time.
You're still getting your kick out of it. Yeah, you get the challenge, the satisfaction of when you're learning stuff. And I guess the way it works is challenging. You think it looks easy and it's not what it looks. So, getting it on a bike to try to learn a trick that how you see it, it's probably not how it's done. It's the same sort of concept. So, yeah, it gets your head thinking a bit too of how to learn and get better at certain things.
So once you got your license, did you buy yourself a car to do drifting in, or you had an old
car? Yeah,
car
I think
and just taking it sideways around corners?
Back then, everyone had Corollas, Datsuns, all the cheap $1,000 cars, which was been and gone now. You don't get cars like that anymore, but they were all rear-wheel drive.
A few of the boys have got them in the sheds.
That's the thing. Most of them have kept them, but for me, like everybody had one. Like a few of the mates, so we all had cars and stuff, obviously to get around. So we all after hours would be doing stuff with cars. And then we'd all go ride our bikes. So it became a thing where wet weather, we'd go drifting in the rain and stuff. And then when it was dry, we'd be riding. And so, it kind of became a bit of a... So
you've gone through and got a few cars? Is that a competition thing? Do you go to a track?
So now that I'm actually driving, so for years, this is the first track car I've had. So basically up until, this car has been just street driving. And even then it's only been a little bit of, here or there. You might go to an industrial area, play around for half an hour and then bugger off and... call it a day. But now this is sort of the first time I've gone, I can't be on the street doing it and, losing license and all that stuff. It's not the same as it was when probably 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. Probably 20 now, I should say. But, taking it to a track's the way to go. It's the whole setup sometimes. It's probably the closest thing you get to being a race car driver without being a race car driver.
Where do you do that?
Taylor Bend, Malala, basically. You can go interstate and stuff. There's plenty available, but it's very expensive in that scheme where you're towing a car, fuel, tyres, entry fees.
You're not at that point yet?
Yeah. I haven't been interstate or anything.
Once your electrical company keeps taking off, then...
So I've just stick the car up and, I mean, not that I can really sponsor myself yet or anything, but basically I've just finished, last weekend was the last round for the state series. So I built my car and drove it twice, I think it was, and then the first round of the state series popped up and I kind of just want to drive, so I was like, I'll just enter the comp, whatever, I don't care. Entered the comp and did quite well, so I think I qualified third initially, and I think I might have placed like fourth or fifth or something in the end, and that meant, I said to the wife, I was like, look, I think I might finish the rest of this season. And that was meant to be the only time I drove the car for the year. And then, it turned out that, all right, let's do this season. So this year I've done the complete season, and we just finished the last round. So the last two rounds I ended up with third place at both of them, which in total I think I haven't found out for sure yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm sitting in second for the championship. So
is that South Australia? Is that national?
That's just South Australian. Yep. So, there's a few people that come in from interstate and stuff. But, generally, I'm in the amateur part of it anyway.
But, you got the bug there.
But to be first sort of essentially first season in, to have come second in the amateur part of it, it's like...
And you're putting yourself in there as well. Your own support team and everything.
I'm doing my own thing. It's, built the car myself, done everything myself.
You got no mechanics, you got no crew, pit crew.
The whole car got built in my garage by me, like paint, motor, everything. I think I had one mate welded two fittings on and that was it. So it's good in that regard, satisfying, just gives me something to do, tinkering with the car and whatever.
Do you keep in touch with Luke? I mean, you met him through BMX. Does it now cross paths with the drifting?
Obviously he lives in Queensland now, so in terms of keeping in touch in that regard, I've seen him for years now.
Okay.
But last time I seen him was through the cars. Throughout BMX, we did this, both of us did this big sort of, it was BMX and cars, and then it got less BMX, more cars, until a point where the kind of BMX just fizzled out. But he's in the same boat now, so his kids are a bit older now, and I don't know if you've seen any of his stuff on social media, but his daughter and his son, so his daughter, I think it was only the other week, she won a comp in Queensland. They went into like a local comp and she's won it. And then his lad's doing quite well
It's crazy to see these generations of... I mean, I was a couple of generations above, and you see these couple of young kids that have just got incredible skills. and 20, 30 years later, what you've done with those skills. It's pretty cool.
It is. And it's funny too, because even for myself, when I was a kid, like looking in you guys' direction, you know, I still remember as a kid the fluffy pants. Mate of mine used to have a pair of them. And it was so funny because, we were that little step back where, like, what you guys were all doing, we were back here like, whoa, just in awe watching it happen. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting, I think, now to come full circle and be sitting here across the desk.
And now, like, we're all grown-ups kind of thing.
No.
We got to act like grown-ups anyway.
I tell my kids all the time where they do silly things sometimes, and I think, mate, I still act like a kid.
Yeah.
You know, you probably noticed Mum tell me, have you grown up yet? And it's no, because I haven't. I'm still a little kid.
I'm not in a rush to grow up.
Nah. That's it. Don't grow up. It's a trap.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that's pretty well at the moment. It's more cars than bikes, but I'm really at a point now, especially seeing my youngest. He's very, very similar to myself. I think he can't help but gets on the bike and really wants to sort of just ride his bike, and it's not for he's trying to do it for any reason other than he just loves it. So I think he's just got that same bug I had as a kid where you can't tell me no. Essentially, if I wanted to do a jump or do something, it's just watch out. I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. And he's got that attitude, so I feel like I should be taking him to the park and just having him out in it and letting him experience it. Because I found when I was little, that was the part that was hard for myself, getting to jumps, getting to parks. You'd ask mum and dad and they'd take you there, but obviously they've got a life, they've dinners, everything's got to happen. You can't just, I feel like going to the skate park, can you guys drop everything and come and take me to park? So, that's...
If you're that hungry, you'll find a way.
And that's what we did. So when we were kids, it was, we just ride down the train station, jump on the train. And, like I said, that first comp, I still remember having the conversation with my brother going, do we tell Dad or do we just go? And we thought, well, if we tell him that he knows, then he won't let us go. We can't tell him. We have to just go. So it was a bit of we sort of snuck off, and I don't know where we told him we were going, but we've ended up in Noarlunga, which is from Taparoo back then. That was, God.
Train to town, and
then train all the way out to the end of the Noarlunga line, and then I don't even know.
And then ride from there. Yeah,
I think how we found it, and this is how I look at with kids today, and the way the world's changed. So the way we found that was we couldn't take the street directory from home, so I looked in the street directory and I couldn't even take a photo of it. I've just had to muscle like yep, that's a mental note. Train station's there. Just head that way from the train station and you should run into
left,
it.
Left, right. Yeah,
and sure enough, we just, there's the oval. Like, you can just picture it, two kids.
You saw a BMX on the back of a bike? That way.
Yep. Yeah. Even when we went to the lake jump at Coromandel, I'm pretty sure me and my brother, I think the first time we met them down there.
Because it's a bit of a funny up the street and off to the left.
And it's like through the back of the school we went. That's how I think he told us when he was like, if you get to the school, just go through the school all the way through and you'll get to the back gate and you'll go through there. So, we were like, okay, cool. So we're just bombing down this hill. I'd never even been into Coromandel Valley in my life. I had no idea where I was. And we just found the school and we're like, I think that's it. Yeah. And then as we're going through the school, you could just hear people talking in the background. And then we've just I think we actually started running. We're like, let's go. And the bike, and it's so funny too, because the bike that I was late jumping was my bike.
It's a good bike.
My bike. I didn't have another bike, so everybody else is late jumping there
with a Coke bottle strapped to the handlebars.
I think that night, I reckon I'd put Coke bottles. I don't know what else I had. Anything that would float attached to my bike, and
pull floaty toy or something.
I got there, and everyone's looked at me and they're going, "Are you riding your bike?" I was like, "I don't have another bike. I have to ride mine."
It's a good expensive bike.
So I remember
this is a shitty Bam.
But there was, I reckon this was probably a bit later on, probably once we'd learnt flips and stuff and we were there just doing other, like trying to do other tricks and whatever. I remember losing my bike at one point. I've jumped off and it landed like right near the bank, but right near the bank was deep. And I reckon it was one of the McGarry brothers from the back. They used to have the property there. He's jumped in and dived down. He did about 3 or 4 times under for a long time trying to find it. I couldn't get down there. It was too deep. And he eventually comes out, hold my bike. I'm like, oh, thank you. I'd lost the bike. I had no bike after that. So, and that was obviously before days of being sponsored. But that bike was, God, what was that? Like an old Haro ZI or something from way back. After that, bearings were all trashed. Like, it just made noise. I still remember riding at Seaford one day with Luke Fink, and he did a truck driver out of the bowl on my bike with like no bearings in the headset, basically just chunk. And I remember him that day. I think I was learning crank flip bar spins, which now you look at people doing, and what do they call it? A screaming eagle. You do a crank flip bar spin, and it's like, I did that when I was probably 13 years old. just fly out at a skate park. Someone was like,
Just trying to
yeah, I
technical
wonder if you can
something.
try that. I was like, I don't know. So yeah, I think learning when you're young is probably the way to do it.
Well, it sounds like you had a pretty tech brain for it. Some people, you have a style brain, or it sounds like your brain was pretty tech.
My brain was pretty well, if I wanted to try something, I'd just keep doing it until I worked it out. And I feel like in a sense, the style side of things early on didn't interest me in a sense because it just seemed like there wasn't much to it. It just seemed harder to do more technical tricks. I was always doing multiple combinations of the different things. Definitely my style was, more tricks than sort of the style of it. But I find that as I got on, I started pushing the tricks aside a little bit to be more focusing on the actual, like, how I carried the trick out rather than just trying to do the trick per se. It's like, now how can I at least make it look good? There's one thing to land it, but yeah, it's a different thing to actually make it look good while you're doing it. Because some people just naturally make things look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like your trail riders are generally the ones that do that.
I didn't realise, the people that you knew kind of thing. I knew you as, a young kid coming up, doing double tail whips and 720s. And...
I think it's the part. So everyone obviously saw me from before, if that makes sense. So like from the point where they noticed me, whereas before that, I was there looking up to everyone else. So like I think that's the part where everyone missed me, or I was actually there watching with like Dwayne and all those guys. Like I don't actually think they noticed me when I was there. Even at what do you call it? The one at Port Gawler, Zero Gravity.
Oh yeah.
So I was like real young then.
Yeah,
Actually,
Luke Fink and Parslow.
Yep, they were all there. So that was before I knew Fink.
Yep.
Who needed a tube? I'm pretty sure I had my bike with me, and I'm pretty sure it was Golding or someone popped their tyre, I reckon, and they needed a tube.
And beer's going okay, mine's.
Oh, mine's fine, yeah. Actually forgot about it for a bit there. I picked it up. Oh, shit, it's still full.
I'm doing all right getting through mine.
But yeah, I remember going and pulling the tube out my bike in the car park, and then bringing it back in, and I'm pretty sure it was Dwayne that needed it. And gave him my tube. He's, oh, thanks, man. Like, no one had a tube out there. But yeah, I think that's, like I said, that side of it where even at that comp at Marion there, where, like I said, Dwayne would have been the one, I think it was Dwayne and Bazan, I'm pretty sure, pushing me in. But then there was like probably maybe 3, 4 years, 5 years goes by. And then I'm hanging out with them, and they would have had no idea that they'd already met me. But I was just that little kid at one of the comps, they probably didn't even really remember it.
I'm trying to think of one of the first times. So we're back from a wee break now. We just keep talking. I'm trying to think of one of the first. Like I remember noticing you at the city skate. Double whipping that bolt and maybe even the spine. Maybe that kind of hippie
sort of wedge
spine. Yeah, that
thing
wedgie thing there.
Yep.
And then City Dirt, we did a couple there. And again, Luke Fink came over for that one there.
Yep.
And you just trying, like Luke's trying 720s. And were you doing 720s
I was
as well?
doing 720s then, Yep. I remember. So I think that's the part where, for me, what was it? I don't even. So that one at Noarlunga, that was the first one. And then I think every one after that you would have put on, I would have entered and been in. So there was the one at Marion. Gosh, what else was there?
There was a couple at Hallett Cove. Maybe that was after, actually.
I don't think I ever did any at Hallett Cove. But then it was.
And then I kind of stopped. I did a couple at the city, and then I kind of stopped.
And then it was the Velo Fest. I reckon they were the last ones.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And I reckon from there, that was pretty much where I learnt flips. Like I said, I think it was the following weekend after that last Velo Fest. And from that point forward, that was pretty much where it took off. So, like, just after those points was where you would have actually probably noticed me from then.
Yeah.
But before that, it was like...
Because it was you and Tom. I remember noticing Tom. There's a few of the young kids there.
I still remember I could almost... my memory sometimes is really great for it, but that first Velo Fest, and there was the 2 tabletops. I think the pros had 2 and we had 1. And I remember doing suicide no-handers over it, and I would have been 11. But the way I did them, because I was so little, I used to squeeze the bike so hard, I'd always like touch my face would almost be on the bars. But I remember winning the comp, basically just because I could do a suicide no-hander. Like no one else at that age could do that. So from that point forward, I think that was sort of where I started sort of growing and started kind of becoming something, I guess, and realising that like makes you half right at riding.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll keep doing this.
There's guys 5 years older that are doing suicide, and
right.
there's a big gap
Yes.
with what people can do in between.
And I think, to be fair, that's probably what helped me throughout my whole career stand out, was that I was always young. I was always 16, 17, and I'm against people in their 20s, you know what I mean, which you expect them to be that good. But then it was like, well, why is he still that good? He's only little, sort of thing. But I guess I just didn't see the age.
And you started at 5 years old or whatever it was.
I was
you know?
riding bikes since I was a kid, like just little. Yeah, got pictures of, actually put a post up of my sons and me from when I was little, just hit a little bump and pulling the front wheel up and doing wheelies. And at the age they're at now, I've got a photo of me doing the exact same thing when I was a kid. So just the normal jumping on a bike, being a menace as a boy. It's pretty normal. But yeah, I think, like I said, from about those Velo Fests, it would have been pretty well where it took off. And then there was the Planet X Games that they had. There was it was like the tryouts, basically.
Which they turned to the X Games for a little window there.
Yeah, it was still Planet X, I suppose they called it, but it was
Yeah.
X Games, the one they had in Queensland and Sydney, wasn't it? I think there was the two of them. And I missed out both of them, I think, by the tiniest bit of getting the thing. So the first one that was at City Park, I can't remember who won it, whether it was Rudd. I think Rudd might have got second, Paul, and then I don't even know who's won. Someone else won, but yeah, I ended up getting
Kim or
it was one of
McCann
those
or
guys.
Steve might have been here back then.
But I remember getting third place because I think by default there was not really anybody else after the fact. It was just local people then, and I was young, real young, and I got third place. And I've still got the glasses at home, little gold pair of Planet X glasses with orange lenses in them and stuff like that. They're very very dated. But
fancy dress.
Yes, I put them on the other week actually. They're a bit small. But that's the sort of thing for me that like kind of stood out, where like, it went from like two older kids, and then it's like, well, who's this kid in third place? And then I think the next one they put on, I can't actually remember where. There was one at West Beach I remember they put on. I reckon it was around the time of the Velo Fest.
They did in the Bolton, they had the big vert ramp there when they had the opening. The opening of the vert ramp, yeah.
Yep, and then they did the big comp there. I missed that comp. I think that was the only one I didn't go to. Would have been injured, I reckon, or something. And yeah, pretty well. That was where the whole party started, really.
Oh, yeah.
But then from there, it was like pretty well all the local comps were like youth week style comps. Like no
Pretty
one was
consistent.
like,
Councils got into stuff, and it was
but it wasn't really anyone like putting them on themselves. They were sort of just like I said, within youth week or things like that. They probably had a bit of a budget, and someone went, I can put something on, and so and then that's where I sort of got more into actually riding, and there wasn't as many comps and stuff, so it was just film and do stuff, travel if you need to.
What would you say would have been one of your highest highs and one of your lowest lows?
Highest high, I guess probably. It's hard, I suppose, because of the perspective of things at the time. So like when I first got sponsored, that in itself was, to me, it just seemed surreal. Like I didn't think that could ever happen. And I think it was like 6 months prior, I just bought a new bike. So I'd finally got something half decent. And then all of a sudden I get this this hit with this essential, do you want to get sponsored? Like, we'll give you a bike, bring everything to the table. And I went, pardon? What do I do with my old bike? What do you mean? So I ended up basically handballing my bike that I had to my brother and just got handed a brand new bike. Here you go, here's your bike. Like, okay, it's a bit strange. So that in itself was quite surreal. I don't think, even when I got sponsored by Volume afterwards, and for years, obviously getting bikes and all that stuff, I feel like that was just that initial one where I got the first bike and all that. That was quite a good feeling, and it almost to me felt like I've made it. Everybody wants to be sponsored,
so
above I'm sponsored.
A huge trick and a huge comp, that moment stands out for you.
I feel like I said, it's hard, I guess, because of the perspective of it at the time. That was huge, but then 5 years later,
that was the biggest jump. That was from zero to
definitely. That was
hero,
where it kind of went from I was just a kid riding a bike to I am somebody now.
Someone else
people know who I am.
Yeah.
So that sort of started that, I guess. But then, like I say, you probably asked me the same question 5 years later, and it's like, couldn't really care less about being sponsored anymore, obviously, because you start seeing the annoyance side of it, where it is a bit like, I've got to do things of comps and all that. I'm very lucky. None of my sponsors were ever like that. I was always very.
You never got pressured to.
Nah, if I was injured or couldn't make it for any reason or whatever happened.
Oh, we're going to finish your contract here.
Nah,
You've done
there
your
was
knee,
no. I never
that's
had
it.
contracts.
No.
Nah. So I think Diamondback, they were wanting one, but I think it was more
Bit
so
of a handshake.
Yeah, more so them kind of wanting to just know that something was locked in, and I think that was right around the time that they sort of knew that I was a bit off of it. Essentially, just the design of the bikes wasn't really one I wanted. So yeah,
They didn't fit in where BMX was going.
They didn't, no, and they were getting a bit dated in the geometries of their frames and stuff, and then volume was very current, and yeah, it made sense to go to them. And I realised the difference. So for that BMX games, when I broke my arm and leg, that was pretty well where I realised it. So at the time, sponsor the frame, I had it, I think it bent or something, and I was getting a new one sent, so I didn't have one. So they've just given me a frame. Now it's kind of funny going back on it now. We knew at the time what frame it was, but it wasn't the frame that I was supposed to be riding. Yeah. So we've gone through the catalogue and we're like, that's it. And he's, no, it's taking the catalogue and yeah, it's taken it away. We knew straight away what it was. I think it was pretty obvious, but he's taken all the stickers and just to kind of get me a bike to ride essentially, and was just almost shut up about it and just ride the thing. So we were all sort of trying to point out what it was, and more so for my sake that was probably one of the best frames I'd ridden. And that was when I'd started realising that, it's the bike. It's not me, it's the bike. Yeah. So I started sort of putting it together, and then I think I got the new frame, gave that frame back, bent another one, and then had that frame again. And that was the point where I went,
can't endorse this.
This bike is different. I need that style of bike. So there, once that new sponsorship came, it was the bike issue went away. Bike was great then. All my geometries were fine. I rode it a lot better. But like I said, that whole want to be sponsored then wasn't so wanted. So yeah, then it comes to, I guess, probably going overseas to doing those demos in India. That was a fair achievement, but in a sense of, it was just a thing that happened, like other demos.
Once you got there, it wasn't as exciting. But
what I mean.
The idea of it overseas, is amazing. I guess, definitely. I'm getting paid to fly to India.
Everything I did,
ride like their Olympics. It's the cricket would be like their Olympics.
Everything I did that I got paid for was kind of like that to me, essentially, where I'm like, I'm getting paid to just go and ride my bike and hang out, and good money too. So probably the best thing financially I did was when I was actually the junior ambassador for Milo when they did their junior games. They had a series that they did one at Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, Queensland, and Western Australia. So I think that came about through doing the demos at the show and stuff. I reckon it sort of came about through there, and yeah, they hit me up and be like, basically, do you want to do it? You want to be the person? Yeah, for sure. So I was on the Milo cereal boxes.
Yeah. Have you kept some stashed away?
Nah. So I don't think. I think it was on the box, not on the tin. And
anyone, if you've got a Milo box with Mozzy on there, I'm sure we'd love to see it.
So that was my gig for, I think I had 5 weeks. So they gave me, I think it was $2,500 up front and then $2,500 at the end when I finished. So it's basically
that'd be huge bucks.
$1,000 a week, and I was only flying in on the weekend. Basically, I'd be there overnight, do the demo, judge. They'd fly me out either that night or the next morning. So it was basically $1,000 for a day. So
and what, you're 16?
17, maybe 18, around there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
everyone else is going to school, or they might have a part-time job or something. Can you go? Yeah. So getting flown around the country. And,
that was a good one. That was probably one of the this is maybe can potentially pay the bills. But like I said, that's just the one of. Yeah. They never came well enough, often enough.
Consistently,
you can sort of live off it, and then you're going back to doing a demo or comp, and you think, $5,000 great, but it's like for the year that's not much. No, So you've sort of got to sort of make it last. So I went and bought a car or something stupid, or as you do, and but that was sort of one of those other, I guess, what do you call it? Milestone, I guess I had. One of the biggest ones was, and it was funny too, because I never won a comp interstate. It was always almost win. I'd place real well, or I'd qualify high, and then something would happen, I'd crash, or whatever would happen. But I was always up there enough that it was like, the name was there, but it was never like top step every time. So when I was, I think it was 2007, Gold Coast, it was the Dirt Nationals they had. It was some car event they had on, and they had like motorbikes and all sorts there. It was like this big weekend they had in this big stadium where they have their showgrounds or whatever. They've put on this big event. And we've gone there, done this comp. I think I ended up placing, I reckon I was second, and I missed out on first place by a half a point. And the only reason that I missed out on the half a point was because I crashed on the first jump, and the dude who come first crashed on the second jump. So basically, if I'd have made it past the second jump, I'd have won.
Done.
But I broke my foot as well when I crashed. So I was like, then I was stuck in the Gold Coast for 10 days, I think it was. Put my foot
Limping
down,
around.
smashed the joint in my toe, ended up having pins put in, and yeah, that destroyed my foot for a good 6 months or so. That was not good. But that was probably one of the highs of a comp. Essentially, was like getting closest to winning.
Yeah.
Look, for me, I think probably the low was doing my knee. That was really.
And that was like after you'd done all this cool
I've done
stuff for so many years.
and plenty of injuries and plenty of things
Yeah,
happen.
it sounds like you've had your battles.
But nothing bad, just broken bones and normal stuff that 6 weeks heals and
Well,
yeah,
the
you're back
average
on it.
person probably doesn't even break a bone.
No, so
you
for
know.
me, it was breaking a bone's normal. That's the easy one when it's not a joint or anything weird and it's a 6-week wait, rip the cast off and, maybe even 5 if you really feel like pushing it. The amount of times I'd ripped a cast off early and literally just duct tape over a bandage to fuse a joint to stop it moving and gone in a comp and still place well. The amount of times I'd done that was, so broken bones, we're not really too worried. But, once the knee happened, like I said, as soon as I knew that it was my knee, I think my body just kind of went, oh, that's it. It's over. The amount of people I've seen, like Kim, who else is there? Pete Redivo's done his knee. Like the amount of people I've seen, and then once it's done, it's sort of like you can keep trying, but it'll just keep happening. It'll just keep happening, and it's just, I think I sort of knew it from that point that I was like, this is it.
So how does that, can you remember that first night or that first few days?
Afterwards, after doing the knee.
Yeah,
So
like what goes through your head?
I think at that point too, don't get me wrong, when I say I was burnt out, I wasn't really burnt out on riding per se, but I think because I had been sponsored riding, competing every other day since I was a kid, like we used to ride every day, we'd wake up, where we're going. Like I said, we weren't working and stuff, so we'd be just go to a skate park or we might go hang out, do stuff during the day and then go ride that night so we'd ride just about every day. So for me, it was a bit of a, I think at that point in time, being 22, I'd sort of burnt myself out on BMX a little bit in the sense of that I wasn't as interested as I was when I was little. I wasn't watching all the videos. I wasn't going and buying the magazines. I was almost sort of turning off to it a little bit so that when I wanted to ride and do stuff, that it was still there, if that makes sense. So like I found that first probably week or two was probably a bit just turn the other way. Just didn't even think about it and just went, that is what it is. Just don't even think about it and just ignore it. But it took probably a good 6-12 months before it all started hitting home that I'm realising that I don't think I'm going to be able to ride my bike again. Like I actually thought it was it. I'm never going to be able to ride it again because it took years, like I said before, I actually had the surgery and stuff like that. So over those years with the instability and everything, I just got to a point where I'm like, I sold my bike.
You kind of accepted.
I just accepted the fate and went, sold the bike because I couldn't ride it anyway. So I sold the bike and everything and just got rid of it and just sort of went, now what? And that's where I thought, well, it's either cars or... So a little bit there I got into Harleys for a bit. I went and bought a Harley. And of course, riding BMX, doing the things I've done, that stemmed to playing around on a Harley and doing wheelies and burnouts and carrying on and doing all the same thing on a BMX.
I wouldn't have picked a Harley as the appropriate bike. I would have.
Well, it wasn't bought with the intention of doing it. Yeah. It was just once I got it, I knew that you could do it.
I would have thought an enduro or off-road or something.
So I think I purposely didn't buy like a Jap bike or any of the fast ones because I thought I'll kill myself on a bike like that. I know what I'm like. Just go and get a cruiser.
Loud and obnoxious.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And I knew I had mates that could do wheelies and burnouts and things on them, and I just sort of thought, if anything, I might do the odd little bit here or there, but for the most part, just cruise this thing. And that didn't last 5 minutes before I'm on the back wheel doing burnouts. And when I say burnouts, I'm talking like standing up, both feet on the pegs. Like not many people do it that way anymore.
And did you fold any of those bikes?
Well, I wrote mine off towards the end, but I never crashed it. Well, I crashed it.
You wrote it off, but you didn't crash it.
No, so like just riding it generally, not anything too drastic. So I didn't hurt myself too bad. Dropped it a couple of times as you would expect. They're 300 odd kilo bike doing wheelies and carrying on. Eventually it does get away from you and you can't hold it, so it'll drop down. But we had crash bars and all the stuff you just pick them up and keep riding essentially. So I'd come off it a couple of times, but nothing drastic. Never crashed doing wheelies or anything like that. That was always fine. Then one day I was out and just the little BMX brain just kicking in and we're doing wheelies, and there was what looked like a tabletop, and I was like, I reckon I could jump that. So I've hit it a couple of times and thought, I reckon I could clear it. And yeah, sure enough, I've hit it and back end stepped out as I took off and just landed a bit crooked and washed out. And the bike just did a little tumble and I was fine, nothing happened. But
Yeah.
the bike was a bit beat up and the insurance company went, it's
I don't know if we can claim
it's
that.
going to be a write-off, I think. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, shit, okay. So I decided don't get another one, just stay
Okay.
off the bike. Obviously, once the kids and everything come along, I just went, it's probably not the thing to be getting into.
You got time for that in the future.
It's good fun, but it's one of them things. Not the cheapest bike to be throwing around and dropping on the ground and all that sort of stuff. So I sort of went, maybe I'll just lay off the bike and get back into the cars. And that was where the car sort of stuff come back in. And I thought, you know what, I'll just stick with cars. I think
Safer.
from now on. It's
You
a
got
bit
a lot
safer.
more meat around you.
They cost a lot more, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but they're a bit safer on the body. And I know that when I come home after a weekend, I'm going to work the next day. I might be a bit tired or whatever, but it's fine. So, it's definitely trying to keep my. I like to excite myself and like that adrenaline rush. But trying to get it without hurting myself now is a bit hard.
So what do you look forward to now? What do you look forward to tomorrow? It's a weekend. Like, what do you look forward to?
Oh, spending time with the kids, really, to be fair. I get more enjoyment out of watching them do stuff now. Like I said, if I take the kids out for a ride or do something, I'm happy just standing there watching them get excited. And it's almost funny because I'm reliving it back through them again. Now I get to see, and it's because I've done it and I've been there. I guess this was the part for me when I was little. My old man wasn't really like my old man had a BMX and stuff, a bike when he was younger, and he rode and did all the things that we did, but it was completely different. He didn't realise that you want to go to skate parks and you might want to go there 3-4 times in that week. Things like that, even building jumps or, working on the bikes. He was just a little bit out of it. It was like, he had dragsters and stuff when he was a kid, not like a proper BMX. So to him, it was a little bit sort of fish out of water in a sense. We were teaching him stuff. So now with the kids still being, the relevance has tightened up a lot more now where I'm still relevant in terms of knowing what the bikes are and things like that. So I can help them a lot more. So I feel like I just watch them and see them, and as they're getting older and getting more excited about it. And like I said, my youngest, I just want to ride my bike all the time. So that's, to me, that's the exciting part now. Get out and go for a roll with them. And even if it means that I can just jump on my pushy and try to roll around the skate park with them and see them enjoying themselves, that's more
and
exciting.
throw the odd backflip in front of the other chubby, overweight parent.
That's the part that's it's kind of funny because there's not many other parents that are there that are going to be able to jump on the bike and show the kids on how to
They
do
might
it.
roll around.
No.
You maybe drop in the little bowl, but you're not going to drop in the quarter,
No.
let alone 360 fly out or something.
Yeah, so I can still, the balance is all still there. I can still stick around and do pretty tricky stuff sometimes. So it's it's pretty easy to impress the other parents when you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think there's more parents like you that are grew up like that.
Yep.
And they may be thinking, maybe I'll dust off the cobwebs.
Yep.
And a few people have listened to these podcasts and go, maybe I'll just get the bike out again and just see what I can do.
Definitely think if you have a bike and you aren't riding it, you should be. Especially if it's just sitting there and you're doing nothing with it. Just get it out, go for a ride. What's the worst you're going to do? Enjoy yourself, like that's how I see it. So look, my bike, like I said, it's been sitting there for a little bit. I haven't touched it much in the last probably 12 months or so. But that's more sort of with kids' age and everything like that and work and stuff like that. But as they're starting to get to that point now, got to get them out a bit more, and it'll be a good thing for me, I think, too. Drag me out.
Look, I think we're coming close to the end here.
Yeah.
We've still got a few more cameras, but someone's having a bad day. Mm-hmm. I don't like to end on the total bad note, but someone else that might be listening to this is having a bad day.
Yep.
How do you reconcile getting out of that bad day? It's one of your worst days. How do you stay positive, or do you sit in the mud? What do you do?
Look, I think everybody sits in the mud for a brief moment in time, thinking that they're stuck. But I always just try to think, and have I been in this position before? And what have I done in prior scenarios? It's I think there's always a way. If you're having a bad day, it's like the tomorrow might not be bad. Just give it a chance. You get there. Sometimes it's, just dust yourself off for that day. Just don't worry about it. Try again tomorrow. Tomorrow will be there. So, I don't know. I think I always try to, some days, you have your moments and everyone's a bit, gets a bit down, but get out, go for a ride on your bike. I feel like a bit of an adrenaline rush. For me as a kid, and I think looking back on it, was why I like riding my bike so much, was the only time I couldn't think about anything. So as a kid, I mean, even still now, probably whether it's ADD, whatever, something, there's the burning energy's there. But as a kid, riding my bike was the only time that I had no time to think about whether I wanted to be happy, sad, whatever. You're dropping into a quarter pipe, you're dropping in thinking, I don't want to crash. No other thought happens. So I feel like it's a good thing sometimes. Go ski yourself a little bit and you'll find whatever's a problem won't be a problem anymore. Because you've just created another one, essentially.
That's a great answer.
So, yeah, I think that's probably the aspect of it is, yeah, try and just distract yourself because it probably isn't that big of a problem.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Anyone you'd like to thank? Any shout-outs?
Oh, look, everyone and
List
everyone.
As many, take as much time as you like, you know.
Obviously, at the moment, wife and kids, they're everything to me at the moment. Well, and probably forever, I would say, from here on out. But leading up to that, just everyone growing up, all the boys, everyone that I've grown up riding with. I'll be here all day naming everybody. But, yeah, even all the boys, like I said, Dwayne, all those guys that I've looked up to from as a kid. Thank you to you boys because, yeah, I wouldn't be where I am without seeing you guys sort of lead the way for me to know that that's what I wanted to do. And then, yeah, everyone that's helped me, I guess, throughout the way with BMX, whether it be just, yeah, a roof over my head for a night or, yeah, like the boys taking me up under their wing and showing me their lake jump to help me learn flips and all of that sort of side of things, which I think, look, it's BMX. That's just how it works. My whole life, every skate park, you could go up to any BMXer and within 5 minutes you pretty well got a roof over your head and plate of food under you if you really wanted to. It's a good community. So anyone that's ever helped me or like I said, give me a bit of advice or anything in the years, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That is really good. I think we are going to call this a wrap. I think this is my 24th one now.
Beautiful.
Podcast. I'm still learning. I'm hoping to get better.
It's doing well.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
coming
me.
and talking to me. Daniel
worries at all.
Dunn, this has been such a cool conversation. I've loved hearing all the cool things that you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you, mate. We're going to wind up the music. And we're going to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Daniel Dunn, that is a wrap. There it is.
Beautiful.